All right, everybody, welcome into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, here on our Sunday morning tradition that has continued on now into our 15th season, just around the corner from our 16th season. Again, right around Super Bowl time, February 9th. So 1 week from today will be our 16th anniversary here up on the Couch Potato Sports Show, doing what we do week in and week out. And that's just the way things have been working over the years. We are now getting close to the off season, an amazing NFL season. And that also being said, when you go into the seasons with the expectations of doing well amongst our picks, okay, I went in feeling really good about it, and I did not do very as good as I wanted to. My brother wins the bragging rights for a year, which makes me sick. So I got to deal with that up on top of not, winning the damn thing. So that being said, move this here, grab this here because I'm a little low. I've have decided to take this off season and do a lot of investigations of football teams, certain situations, and I'm ready for it next year. And I hope I win next year. I'm not going to say I'm going to win because that's, I can't end up doing that because then I'll end up looking like an idiot. So I'm not going to say, well, but I just want to do, but I want to do better. That's all I want to say. My brother, Fred Clark, kicked everybody's ass within this league. So let's just give him that. I'm not happy about him kicking my ass, okay? But everybody else within our Pick'em League, you got to step up. It's time to step up. So this offseason, everybody dust off your coats and get ready for bragging rights next year. That's all. That's what I want to start the day out saying. I want everybody to be ready to go and find something to look at this, the season and feel good about. Go in week in and week out. So just to get it started. Now, that having been said, today's show is going to be, it's going to be an interesting show because in our third hour, we're going to bring in pretty much my one and only guest I bring in on the show. And more than the fact, he's my guy. I mean, this right here. So, Mr. Tom McManus is going to be in with us. By the way, this thing is huge. I bought this last year or 2 years ago. One of the two. I can't remember when I bought it. But yeah, I'm digging. I'm digging my jersey. Gosh, huge. Because of my guy, Tom McManus. Now, let me give you just a little bit of background. The Jaguars came into the NFL. I think it was 94, 95. So I think it was 94, 95, something like that. And what ended up happening is another team came in at the same time, the Carolina Panthers. And with Carolina Panthers coming in, I had a friend of mine, we kind of like a closet Bear fan. And I know Cuervo hates that. I lived in Chicago. When you live in Chicago, you're a Bears fan. That's just what it is. And you move away from it, you still kind of take it with you. But this was an opportunity to be on something new when it came to the NFL. There's not a lot of things that you can do new within the NFL, except in this case, get a new football team. So the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars came in. Now, my friend of mine decided to become the Carolina Panther fan. I decided to be the Jacksonville Jaguar fan. And here we are years later with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Carolina Panthers. And I said it last week. And I meant it. The Jacksonville Jaguars are the 30th worst ran football team in the NFL. 31 would be the Carolina Panthers, and 32 would be OB's Cleveland Browns. And that so that being said, Tom McManus, he has verified this morning already. He's going to be in the 11 o'clock hour. He's going to be in at noon Eastern. So I don't know if this guy is going to be here because I mean he's a busy guy.
Can you dig it, sucker?
I say this all the time. One of my favorite parts of doing this show is having this guy on because of his knowledge and but more so, it is the best smile on the internet. Of course, it's the one and only Bryce from Brooklyn. And see, and I don't know. I almost gave. I started your nickname out. I might have to start calling you Brooklyn. I might have to start calling you Brooklyn just for the fact that you need a nickname. And I think Bryce from Brooklyn might be too much. It might just have to be Brooklyn. So good morning, my friend. How you doing?
Good morning, Sonny. Always good to see you. You know what? You always say Bryce from Brooklyn, but Bryce is originally from Pittsburgh. So
that's
it's
right.
really
Bryce
in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I know. I guess
when I go, when I'm home, so if I go back to Pittsburgh, that's why I changed it to Bryce in Pittsburgh.
Gotcha.
Wherever I'm at. So if I'm flying somewhere, let's say I'm in Buffalo, Bryce in Buffalo.
Yeah. So all right. So, but you live in Brooklyn.
But I live in
that's why you got a new nickname. It's going to catch on. It's going to catch on. I said it once last week, and I went back and I watched the show, and I was like, hey, that's actually kind of cool. I called him Brooklyn, but I was going off too. So that's
listen. You are definitely in a love-hate relationship with your Jags because last week you were making some good points. You were going off. But now you got your Jaguar shirt on. I see Tom McManus is set to be here. Hey, here's what the public wants to know because you got me till 11 a.m. today.
Okay.
Here's what the public
and that's when he's coming in.
Yeah, I miss him. But the public really wants to know, did you make good on your promise to clip everything you said and send it to Tom McManus?
Yeah, I did. And so And that is so. Here's the thing of it. This guy probably doesn't have time to listen to my BS. I mean, so he probably didn't watch it.
As long as you sent it, as long as you teed him up and said,
"Yep," and I even tagged him in it as well. So you know, and I posted it. And by the way, I don't feel very much better than I did last week. Today, and since you're the only one here, I want to talk. I mean, I'm going to briefly go into it because I'm going to go more in depth with one guy that is, but a time to make an impression on your football team when you're the new head coach is when you step behind the podium in front of that microphone and introduce yourself.
Here we go. Before you go on about this, I'm going to save you. I'm going to save you.
Oh, you're going to save me.
Don't make the same mistake that I made. Did I not get on Dan Campbell a lot for that press conference?
Absolutely. And by the way, who was the only
Sirianni? I got on Sirianni for his weird press conference. What have we seen? Wow, press conferences, you don't want to see weird ones. That has no bearing on how the coach may or may not be.
Right. But here's the
go
thing.
Ahead before you.
I want to go to Dan Campbell because you're absolutely right. I was hot about the Dan Campbell. I loved it. I thought it was great because you know me. I'm old school.
Yeah, we know.
Dan Campbell's about as old school in the coaching as you can get right now. Right. I would think. I got to look through the coaches, but if he's not one, he's two, he's three. One of those three. He's top three old school coaching that I love to see. And by the way, I miss seeing Bill Parcells going off on a guy on the side. He's walking out. He said, "Why are you walking away from me? If you can't learn to block, you won't play next week. You'll be watching at home." They get that on the mic. Love it. Getting into their guys' ass when they need to get into it. Okay. But so I love the Dan Campbell. And by the way, I was the only one. By the way, we had we even had Jonathan on going. This is not the guy's a meathead. Okay, so here's where I looked at it as far as this right here.
Duval.
I know.
Difference. Okay, there's difference between Dan Campbell and
Duval.
What the hell is even that?
What the hell is even that?
Listen. Do you think it was goofier like Dan Campbell? That was wild. Sirianni's opening press conference. Wild press conference. Like he did not come across in the best light yet.
Right.
Here they are. I'm not saying it wasn't goofy. I'm just saying let's not extrapolate that out to his whole coaching tenure. Because let's not do that to his whole coaching tenure now. I know you're about to go crazy because of that, but I'm just putting those examples out there for you.
Okay, so here's what I want to do. Okay, there's a difference between being old school like a Dan Campbell, these guys, okay? I hate to say this because it's so politically incorrect, but I'm going to say it anyway. This guy comes off as a dork walking in the door. And I'm telling you, how does a dork lead men on the gridiron? A dork. This guy's a dork. Okay, and I'm sorry. Yeah, and by the way, it was bad enough. Cuervo. Okay, Cuervo. I got the line for Cuervo whenever I want to kind of nudge Cuervo.
The Bears are who we thought they were.
You never miss a chance. You never miss a
chance. And guess what? I got this.
Duval.
So I have to add it to my list of things because I can't throw it away. This is the type of thing. And I know I'm off. I know I'm on the far on this, But this is the kind of hire that shows that the franchise and the front office doesn't know what the hell they're doing. And the reason why I'll say this, okay, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit last week. The experience of this guy is not there, and it's bad enough. It's bad enough that I'll throw this up here. I'll throw this back up here. But this is this guy in a nutshell. Okay, I am trying to figure out 2 years in one place in the NFL, that'd be the Rams, and 2 years in college, that'd be Maine. But he bounces around. Okay, so we're talking about how do you say it? We're talking about an NFL franchise with lots of, like, I think you said it, a lot of moving parts. And this guy comes in, this guy doesn't have a clue about, first of all, running a franchise, okay, and being a head coach in the NFL. But to take this franchise and turn it around. Now, when Dan Campbell was hired, Bryce, I didn't think he'd turn it around. I thought he'd make a difference. Dan Campbell has turned the Detroit Lions around. But what has ended up happening is the bad taste in my mouth. It's going to be hard to get rid of.
Duval.
And by the way, I got news for you. I'm not the only one making fun of this guy, okay? I'm telling you, the football team is ripping this guy a new one. I'm not going to, and by the way, and I'll call him out on it. If Tom McManus says that doesn't happen, I'm going to call him out on it and say I think he's full of it. And I love me some Tom McManus, but
no, I'm going
to call him out on it.
Conversation.
Wait a minute.
Is this Sonny, the media man, Clark, telling us that he knows that people on the football team have had problems already with this guy?
Say that again.
Is this Sonny Clark, the guy in the media that are we hearing this because of Sonny Clark's research into the team and he has heard that players have gotten on him?
No. Well, hold on. I have done that.
Okay.
I have done that. I've heard what people have said about this guy.
Okay.
I've heard it. But here's the thing. First impressions are the hardest thing to change. And I know it's unfair. So let me just get that right out in the open. Sonny Clark knows this is unfair. Okay? Sonny Clark, when he was younger, did a lot of stupid things that he's not proud of.
Okay.
And one of them would have this Gomer, and I'm doing this is a Gomer that people are going to just look at this guy and not take him seriously. So my question for the Jacksonville Jaguars is in what, their 30 years of existence,
okay,
is this what you want moving forward as a representation of your franchise? And God, the answer's got to be no. Now, granted, I know we all do some things stupid. We're not all cool like Bryce from Brooklyn or in Brooklyn. He's got that natural cool thing about him. But more than the fact, when you look at, do you expect the guy who has 5 years of NFL experience to turn a franchise around? No, we're not. Listen, I'm not expecting, 12 wins. How about this? And since you're here,
okay,
how about just what Mike Tomlin has been bringing to his football team league? I want to see some kind of win. 3 games last year, 3 games. Now, I know Trevor was down, hurt, everything. completely get it. But here's the thing. When you have the expectations of what those Jaguars were supposed to be last year, okay, some people had them winning the division and to win 3 football games. So if Doug Peterson can't hold on to the locker room, what's a Gomer who's already 3 steps behind everything going to be able to do to win over that locker room? So I'll ask you, can a guy like this go in and win over the locker room?
Yes, Sonny. It's a goofy moment. I get it. I have learned from my mistakes.
I have too.
Not necessarily look, the press conference matters, talking to your players.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean that he's not going to come in there and be a good head coach, it doesn't mean the team won't take to him.
Okay.
Here's what I'm hearing when I hear you talk about your Jaguars.
Okay.
I wonder if the Jaguars were in a more stable position. Like, okay, let's change this up. The Doug Peterson hire, out the park. Let's say Peterson had taken your Jaguars to a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I wonder if they'd had sustained success and Peterson decides to retire. I wonder if you would have the same problem going after a younger, a little less experienced coach if you felt the organization was extremely stable and believed in this guy, like a Mike Tomlin, and saw something in this guy. Tomlin only been a coordinator 1 year.
Right.
And he had been an assistant coach, and they saw something in this guy and was like, hey, this guy right here is a head coach. We're going to take a chance on him. I think this is more of an indictment of you and your lack of faith in the overall organization.
Absolutely.
More Liam Cohen. That's
100.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, hold on. I'll say 80%, not 100%. I'll say 80% because number one, you are absolutely right. If they've been successful and they took a shot on him, maybe I feel okay about it. I won't feel
may not
confident.
necessarily like it, but I think you would be like, I want to see what he can do. This organization has shown that they can build right, they can win, and
I would have the power of positivity behind me moving forward. But the problem is that the state of the franchise desperately needed, first of all, change. By the way, and I'll go back and say, and I don't know if Tom would agree with it or not. I think he would. Peterson was the right hire.
I think so. I look.
There's no question in my mind.
I'm on record saying that when they hired him, this was a really good hire. I thought that was a good hire.
That was the step to take a team to get them to that point of what you're talking about. That stable football team, Super Bowl winning coach. Having everything.
It really didn't go well. I mean, I don't know what happened down there.
I don't know either. And by the way, that's one of the questions I'm going to be asking when he comes in.
From Tom,
what he honestly thinks that happened
wrong here.
Yeah, I don't know how that goes wrong. In reality, however,
and you know what? I'm wondering. I could be wrong. I would surmise that Tom's going to bring up Trent Baalke had deficiencies as his GM in building an overall roster.
I will tell you that is one. Yeah, because I watch his show. Whenever he's on, I find Tom's show. Right. He does 3 to 4 shows a week, whether it's his own show or if he's on the radio station. I try to find him. So that's where I'm at. And look who is in the green room. Has got so much pain resiliency. It's the one, the only Podfather. Good morning, Podfather. How are you today?
Bobby Heenan would be proud.
I mean, so I don't know. Did I unmute myself? Did you hear that? I mean, this guy's beaten. He's battered. He has the pain of flexual. Of a football player who doesn't want to give up. I mean, yeah. So first of all, he's got his boot. How are you feel? Are you on? First of all, before we even get started on the show, are you on any kind of drugs? Yeah.
Well, Sonny, we know you're on drugs.
We already know. Yes, I am on. My back is killing me. So good. First of all, good morning, Podfather. And second of all, are you on any good drugs? That's to make the show more interesting.
Duval.
Hey. We have
Duval.
And Cuervo's got his Bears one. Now I have to add that to the list. I have to. It's the embarrassing month because when you here
Duval.
What the hell is even that?
Sonny,
what the hell was that? So, Podfather, what the hell was that?
Listen, the drugs are good in Florida, sir. I mean, let's face it, he's going from Tampa to Jacksonville. I mean, he ain't got to go very far.
You know what, Sonny? I think we need a clip of the Jerry Jones Schottenheimer press conference. Oh my Lord! You got to clip something out of that. That was
I heard it didn't go well.
It's all the same thing, though. I mean, you go back and listen to a press conference during a football game. It's the same damn. Say our fans are very much, responsible for all this, and yes, I'm the GM, and I mean, it's all the same shit.
Podfather, it just gets worse and worse and worse.
You know what though? Yeah,
we're gonna find a clip of that press conference that we can use for Podfather.
We'll do that.
You know what? Here's the thing, though. Okay, the Cowboys went on the way, and they got offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams. They're looking at what's his name, Choice from Texas to come be our running back coach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, who's a former Dallas Cowboy. So I mean,
Choice, Tashard.
Yeah, Tashard Choice. Thank you. I couldn't think of the first name. I mean, they're restarting from zero, right? I have no idea what the team's going to be next year, but it's going to come down to players. It's going to come down to schemes. It's going to come down to a lot of things that we don't know if this coaching staff can do or not. So
that's a good point.
So, I mean, we can sit here and bag on who they picked up. We don't know. I really don't know who they got.
I got a question then for you, Podfather.
Okay.
We talk about it as far as football teams and football players, talking about chemistry. You got to develop chemistry. The way they're choosing their football staff is that Schottenheimer doesn't have a say in, and Jerry is doing this all by himself, basically. How do you find any continuity in the coaching staff to where you feel confident? I mean, you as a fan go into the season going, I love this. He's got this guy. He knows this guy. I've got the same problem in Jacksonville. I don't know how the hell he's going to get coaching staff and how, but at least he's doing it, I guess. So how do you feel about that, as far as this guy, Jerry Jones, making all the coaching position hires more so than Schottenheimer?
Do you think Mike McCarthy had any say that Mike Zimmer was going to come coach the team? Do you think Bill Parcells had any say on who was going to be in his coaching staff?
I think Parcells did.
Honestly, do you think Wade Phillips had any choice that Jason Garrett was a coach in waiting, knowing that he was going to be gone?
I don't think so.
This is how this team is run. We know this, and no matter how we say it, no matter how we spin it, no matter how much we think we know what's best for this team, it's not going to change. The mayhem is going to stay what it's going to be because the guy in charge is crazier than the Jacksonville Jaguars coach.
Right. But here's the thing. I get what you said, but yeah, it's about fandom. So we are the fans. We're the ones that pay we can sit here and say it all day. We're the ones that pay their salary if you're a fan or you put any money in the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Yeah. I have never bought a Dallas Cowboy article of clothes or anything. So I don't have any money invested in it. Fans that are, I think fans want to know that everything, is so you know what you get with Jerry Jones. We all know that. But at the same time, Parcells did, by the way, Parcells did hire his own coaching staff. So that's number one. So did
Not
Jimmy
really.
Johnson. Oh, yeah.
First of all, I'm not saying Jimmy Johnson didn't. That's
Oh.
that's where the definitive line in the sand took place with Jimmy. Parcells may have had a little more leeway, but not as much as you think. You think he had any leeway in bringing T.O. in? He didn't want T.O. on this team.
I don't know about that. You're probably right about the T.O.
He kept calling him the player.
Yeah, I understand that. And so I get that part. But I'm talking about his coaching staff.
Yeah, but
he wasn't the general manager of that football team in order to make those kind of decisions. We all know who that was.
Well, see, Sonny, here's the thing, and you should know this better than anybody because you cover football on the high school level.
Okay.
Every year is built on hope. Every year, every team is built on a little bit of hope. Okay, and hope to a very jaded fan is nothing more than a 4-letter word that is not a curse word. Okay.
Yeah,
but you know, owners who are great salesmen sell you hope, and Cowboy fans who are blinded by the fact that the last 30 years are what they were, they're looking at the star on the helmet. They're looking at the team that's around the head coach. They're looking at they're watching the good things that are being said about the on the news about the team. They're looking at all the good positive things that Jerry wants you to see. Okay, and that other owners would want you to see. They don't want you to see that they're a team in turmoil. Okay, because if they did, I'm pretty sure the Pittsburgh Steelers, as much as I love Mike Tomlin, would look at that and go, well, I mean, we're not the Steelers of old.
I tell you what, you know what's interesting about that, Sonny? To what Podfather's saying, some of these quotes by Art Rooney, the fan base is not happy. Like this whole, well, you know, yeah, we're not where we want to be, but we are winning, and you know, we are maintaining, and it's tough to do that. And different little comments about the quarterback. It just sounds like excuse making. Like, no, man. Pittsburgh Steelers standard is you got to be competing and winning Super Bowls, and we're not doing it, period.
Just real quick, you know, you're asking how was I feeling and everything else. It's funny. I was not feeling good like 2 days ago. I was at work, and I was just coughing up a storm. We had the Fluffy concert there, so I was backstage doing stuff before the show. I just wasn't feeling it. So I go home. I took my name off the list for yesterday because I knew I wasn't going to make it in. I woke up with chills and fever and just whatever. And I said, let me go to the ER and see if we get tested for something, see what I got. I go there, they test me.
That Flu X thing?
Yeah, Flu A is what I got, yeah. And while I'm there, because back in August, I had walked across the parking lot up at work, and I had stepped in a pothole and twisted my ankle. Yeah. Now, I'm thinking it's just, we ever twist our ankle and go, well, let's walk it off, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there going, hey, I have a question. I've had this accident happen back in August. Can you x-ray my foot just to see where I'm at? So they x-rayed because I was thinking I may have torn a tendon, I might have to get an MRI or whatever. They said, no, your ankle's cracked. So for about 4 months, I've been walking around with a cracked foot.
Oh, Lord.
Having no idea that's what I've been walking. WinStar is a 1.5 mile building. It's the largest casino in the world. And I'm walking back and forth every day, 4 days a week, whatever, if not overtime days. And not knowing I have a broken fucking foot. I feel like Kurt Angle saying I got a broken fucking neck. Okay? So,
wow.
Anyway, so look, saying I can't hear a word you're saying, so don't worry about it.
So first of all, I'm glad that you're okay. And
Yeah,
second
man,
of all, that you've taken that, but you didn't answer. Did you get any good drugs to make you feel good? I mean, because I could see it in your eyes. They're a little glazed. I mean,
I just woke up, so yeah.
Right. So I mean, a little glazed working there.
I'm going on 4 hours sleep right now. So because I was napping most of the day before the Rumble, so I was.
Well, I will say this. thank you for making the effort to come up on this show after 4 hours sleep, because I got news for you. If I only got 4 hours of sleep, we would not be on the air.
Listen, I feel bad for Bryce. You got to sit there and put up your bullshit. I mean, he needed a tag team partner to come help him out.
Wait. Before you got in, we were having a wonderful conversation, and it was calm. And
it was going to turn.
And then the new Bobby Heenan came in to stir up trouble.
Okay, I want to go back to what you said last week, Brooklyn.
That's the nickname he wants to go with, Brooklyn.
I'm going to go Brooklyn because it sounds good. So, Brooklyn, last week you were talking about Mike Tomlin, and you said that he had to get it right in this contract year. Or his contract
in this cycle,
yeah. In this term, this
100%,
cycle,
100%.
So, all right. And so, how many years are we in this cycle right now?
We just signed a new extension. I believe he has 2 years left. So 2020, 2025, 26, 26 to 27.
All right. So we're in 2025.
Yeah.
Is there anything that and this I can expound on? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, so I say it. If the Steelers have a horrible season,
define a horrible season for you?
Below the 500, before the winning thing.
Okay.
And is there?
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Is there an incident where you see that the Pittsburgh Steelers part ways with Mike Tomlin next year if it's bad enough?
Yes, 100%. They won't part ways. They will, behind closed doors, they will tell him to retire because they don't fire coaches in that sense.
Yeah, but hold on. Let me ask you: how long does this retirement last? Because
it lasts maybe a few months before he gets another job.
Okay, all right.
Maybe he takes a year off and then comes back.
And if there's anybody that needs a year off, I think
he does retire. Look, Bill Cowher retired. I thought he'd be back in coaching. He never wanted to come back. Jimmy Johnson got let go and never wanted to. Well, he came back after the Dolphins.
But do you see Mike Tomlin being a media savvy kind of person?
Actually, as loquacious as Mike Tomlin is, his ability to talk, he won't want to do that. He doesn't want to.
He's good for just sound bites, by the way. He's not really known for his.
He doesn't want to. I don't think he wants to do that. I mean, he's not going to pull. Look. Not to get
He's going to do what the NFL tell him to do as far as what you're obligated to do, but he's not going to expound. He's not going to go deep. You're going to get the crusty surface that a Bill Belichick could give you.
Belichick it up, and then after treating media members like pariahs, go get a check like the way he did. I'm like, this dude has no shame, yo.
Hey, Sonny, I'll be right back. All right, you can log me out real quick. I'll be right back.
All right, so we'll slide him out here for just a few moments. He could have done that himself, but I mean, see how he knows how to use the damn system. Anyway.
But no, if Mike Tomlin goes 7-10, 6-11, it will be his last year.
Okay, very good.
He will not be back because you got the high draft pick. It'll be time to move on. New coach comes in so he can set his agenda. Omar Khan will still be the GM, work with Omar to get the quarterback or whatever it is that they need. He will not be back for that final year. He won't get an extension.
Because I was worried about you, and there's the reason why. Because you're not in the quote unquote media. You're a fan. You're just smarter than most media.
I'm an educated fan.
You're smarter than most of the media too, and you articulate your points so much better than any media person does. So I was worried about you that you wouldn't see there was a reason to get rid of him before the contract was expired. And I was worried about that because, as we said last week, 8 years, and the Clark family have a saying that we stole from one Richard Pryor back in the day.
Where's this going?
and it is how long How long will this bullshit go on? And that is what I've got to deal with as far as the Jaguars are concerned. But I was worried about how long that you would put up with the bullshit that would be coming. Now, does this take away from what Mike Tomlin is as a coach? Hell no. Would Mike Tomlin get a job as soon as one big toe gets out the door? If he wants it. He would have his choice of whatever job that would be available. He might even push someone out who might be stable in one because he's Tomlin. Because he's got a legacy. He has got a foundation. And I'll even say it. I wanted a coach that had somewhat of a foundation for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I say that, Spags, I would love to have Steve Spagnuolo as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brian Flores. In fact, that's the guy I wanted.
You wanted Flores. He was your number one guy.
Flores. Now, you kind of gave me a question mark about the offensive coordinator from the Ravens, Todd
Monken.
Monken. You kind of gave me. But what I was looking on that one is that, well, look what he did for Lamar Jackson to help him even be better than he already is. That was my look right there. Help your $50 million man get better and then hire the right people around him to make sure everything else goes well. That's what I was hoping on that, because I know that wasn't a popular decision. Hell, I might have been the only one that thought about it. And I don't know if he even interviewed for that job. But that being said, of course, that's the name of the show. That is what I wanted. That's what I was looking for. And this guy doesn't fit the mold, because these kind of guys I'm talking about, they have an opportunity to change a franchise more so than a guy with 5 years experience who don't know jack, who can't stay in one place at one time, develop a relationship where you say, oh, I got to have this guy as my offensive coordinator. Oh, I know he's going to come. If I ask him to come, he doesn't have that. Okay, that's the word. He doesn't have that pedigree in reality to get what I want in order to get there. He's got the pedigree of this guy right here. This right here just scares the living daylights out of me on what I want for my football team moving forward. Why? Because how long will this bullshit go on?
Question.
Hi, Father.
What if it works?
Hold on.
I tried to tell him. I said, Podfather, you can't tell from the press conference. You don't know.
Here's what I'm going to say.
What if this personality gets over with his team? This team wants to play hard for him. I mean, to a fan, I mean, are you more focused on being wrong about him? Because that's kind of how I am with Schottenheimer. I want to be wrong because all these picks they're getting right now is very uninspired. Okay, but
just
I
really quick, let me interject something that you're completely wrong about. Okay, and you're completely wrong about winning over the players. Okay, all right. That guy has a snowball chance in hell. That guy has the opportunity to win over the players as much as I have getting back down to 150 pounds for the rest of my life. There's not a snowball chance in on
we can hope for cancer
on a level that of what 63 on an NFL football team, right, Bryce? 63 on a level of 63 players. This guy before he even walks in the door, he's got to try to sell what he's selling and make the players buy what he's selling.
Listen.
And he's five steps behind.
Hey, I'm the first one to say that the cons who own the Jacksonville Jaguars are a bunch of shitheads because look at AEW, but that's just me. I mean, I'm just not a
Which,
fan
by
of
the
that.
way, could have really been something if they did it right.
No, you know what? You got the 800-pound gorilla in WWE. Then you got this little company that's being started up by a couple wrestlers, and then a guy who's a big money mark. which one's going to win.
Oh, no.
Really.
I'm not saying they would ever win.
Dude,
I'm just talking about not being embarrassing like the Jacksonville Jaguars when they are 3-14.
Did any of you guys watch the Rumble last night?
I did not. I saw that Uso eliminated Cena.
Yeah, let me tell you something. You want to talk about? I know it's off subject and everything else, but it's what we do. Here's the thing: they listen to their fans.
Yes,
they really do listen to them, especially nowadays. Back in the day, but when Vince was in charge, not so much. But they listen to their fans, because I was watching Saturday Night's Main Event when Jey Uso was taking on Gunther, and I'm like, what if he can pull off the upset at the Rumble and get that opportunity to wrestle for the title again? What if? Because the crowd is, he's not there yet. He's still got a lot of mistakes, but his energy, he feeds off that crowd. They feed off of him. That is,
and they're helping him, by the way. You got the commentators doing it too, so they're helping him too.
But they're worse than you, really. But they're doing their best. They're pushing him to the moon, but he's done that on his own. He's had to overcome a lot to get where he's at. And where a guy like Cena, who farewell tour, had a really good showing, had a nice moment where you had in the ring CM Punk, AJ Styles, which I want to see that matchup, I ain't gonna lie. You had Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, John Cena, Jey Uso. There's a lot of champions in that one little confined space.
And all of them are going to be Hall of Famers. We'll wait on Jey Uso.
Pretty much. So I was like, it was. Wow. We did a funny thing on our show. We had all 5 of our guys on the show this past week, and we did a fantasy draft. We had 3 rounds to pick one guy. We could not duplicate a pick, so kind of like a real draft. And we went around the horn. I picked Roman and 2 other guys. I can't remember who they were. And I think Omega picked Uso in the set, but picked Jay in the second round. And he was kind of the guy I wanted to get too, but missed out on that. But it was a fun little thing we did, and we're sitting there going, and we got Billy who's sitting there telling us that he's not ready for this kind of moment. I'm like, actually, I think he kind of is. Yeah. And now he may not win the belt, but he's definitely in for the moment.
Yes.
So I do, because Gunther is he's so a throwback. Solid. He's a throwback to yesteryear. So solid. But he's really good on the mic.
Yeah, he's really good on the mic.
And it's hard to think, okay, well, you can't just take the belt off him now, because where do you go after that? Do you put it back on him after, shortly thereafter, or what do you let Jay run with the title for a while? What do you do? And
are they going to make him lose at WrestleMania? That's another thing, because listen, the sooner or later the Jey Uso losing on a lot of opportunities is going to get old and stale, and so. But that's the good question. When do you make that decision to make that leap?
But then does he lose this year, then fight his way back like Cody did the year before, and get the opportunity the next year? Then there's the Elimination Chamber match. Who knows where we're going to go with that? And watching that big ass bump that Kevin Owens took last night through the ladder.
Oh yeah!
Wow,
both of them took some major hits last night.
Dude, neither one is going to be the same. That's for sure. Because Kevin Owens was folded up like a cheap lawn chair. He was.
Now I don't know if they played it and kept him in that position, or for his safety, or if that was a work or whatever it was. But
I think it was a work because he protected his neck pretty well, but he was bending over so differently. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But then again, it gave us the idea, and that's one thing they're doing. They're selling hope, right?
Yep.
Kind of what Jacksonville's doing. Going back to that. See how I spin that all back around?
But the only problem is that the experience of the WWE and the experience of the Cons owning an NFL football team, those are worlds apart. But I get what you're saying.
But the thing is, you have to sell hope, right? You have to sell hope to your team when the season starts. I know, Sonny, you would like a coach and an owner to come out and say, guys, we suck this year. Don't buy your tickets. We're going to just fly out. No, they got to sell parking. They got to sell tickets. They got to sell merchandise. They're in the business of making money. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is not like the NHL where half the teams don't make a damn dime all year long unless they make the playoffs. Okay. Mm-hmm. They have to start off in the NFL. You guys posted how much is the NFL selling for a basic ticket for the Super Bowl right now? Over $10,000.
It was over 10 grand.
Yeah, for one seat.
For one seat, yeah.
For one seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
my
question.
And Jose, but get this though, out that window, there are people out there that had that 10 grand that are willing to go pay that money.
Yes.
Even if you like them or not, they're going to go out and do it because A, it's football. B, it might be their team that's in there. But C, it's the event that it is. And I know there's a whole big.
That's why I went to a WrestleMania. I wanted to go just one time so I can say
I've been
experienced
twice.
it. Yeah, but when you were 9 doesn't count.
I wasn't 9.
The second, the Vegas one, weren't you 9?
No, I know that was WrestleMania 9. I was 17.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Yeah. I was in my this is what I wanted to do phase.
Mm-hmm.
To where when I went to WrestleMania 17 in Houston, I was like, okay, let's see how they do it this year. And I've never been to the Astrodome. Very cool experience. And then when they came to Arlington, I'm like, been there, done that. They came again. I was like, don't care. Didn't care the first time. Don't care the second time. And it's not that I wanted the product. It's just I don't want to go deal with those people.
Never mind the fact that you paid more in parking than I did for the ticket for me to go see WrestleMania in Phoenix. So, there you go. Parking is a minimum, $60? Parking $60 for 3 hours. It's $20 an hour. It's obscene. Anyway, but all right. So that being said, Bryce, you're right. I want some stability. I would feel better about
Trey. You're right. I want to hear that.
Podfather, I always admit
hold
when
on
you're
a second.
You do, but
you must be deaf. You must be deaf. I've said that actually many times up on this show. So
what?
Guy. So anyway, but the stability about I want someone who can maybe have the credentials to say that we can help turn this around. And it's all about credentials.
How does the coach get credentials? They got the history of it, right?
5 years is not enough when you are a football team in disarray like the Jaguars are. 5 years is not. And by the way, 5 years is not good enough for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not good for any in reality. See, because listen, Las Vegas is pretty smart. They know odds, and they're usually right. And I'm telling you right now, I don't know what the odds say, but my guess would be that the Jaguars being successful, there wouldn't be a lot of money riding on it. Okay, so I am a statistic guy or odds guy because just the fact that the three-peat, I just hope that the Eagles. First of all, I hope the Eagles can get it done. We'll talk about that next week, just so that we can the odds of that happening are saying. I hope the odds are there. And
next week, are we on at the same time next week?
Podfather, are you going to be working?
That I know of, yeah.
Okay, so yes, we'll be on at the regular time, 9 to noon. Just more in the fact that I want to be on that show.
I'm sick, so I mean, but I should be back to work by Sunday.
No, it's funny. When I look at you got all these every one of our teams, well, except for Steelers, are dealing with some sort of major coaching changes.
Absolutely.
This Brian Schottenheimer hire, Podfather, I mean, this might be, look, you're right. We don't know how it's going to go, but when you examine the process right now, it looks bad. I mean, I can't believe, the fact that he was enabled, and then that press conference where Stephen Jones goes, our lack of, what are you, yo, you and Jerry are delusional.
And the thing is, it all stops with them.
Not exist. Only to you.
Them too.
But you want to know what? I said, you want to hear something insane? Here's something else insane. I take Schottenheimer over this guy. He's got 17 years in the NFL. Okay, so if there's any shot of being able to do, I'm not saying Schottenheimer's a good coach, but there's at least experience in the NFL on the going-ons, the day in, day out for more than 5 years. Because let's be honest, when he was in the NFL, I'll put it back up. We saw his what do you call it? His pedigree, where he's been. Let me get it. There it is, right here. You're looking at the LA Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 1 year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right. And it looks like we're looking at 4 years in LA underneath Schottenheimer or underneath
That's 3 years, sir.
Yeah, but he's got 3 years from 2018 to 2000. Then he's got 2022. So he's been there for 4 years in one place. So I get it. But 4 years underneath what's his nose? What's coach's name? It's slipping my mind. For the Rams. Who's the coach?
Sean McVay.
Sean McVay.
Yeah, McVay. Under McVay. So I get how he's got
Sonny,
a
are
little
you there?
bit.
Clear.
Well, no. Believe me. This brain, I know what I'm thinking. I knew his name. It just was here. It just wouldn't get here. So it's got to get here. So I needed a little help. Thanks for the bridge. With Schottenheimer, first of all, he's got the name, he's got the experience, and everything else. Okay, so you got McVay with this guy, and to a certain extent, what he did last year with Baker Mayfield. Listen, I will say this: Baker Mayfield is a hard quarterback to coach. But he's got all that success and everything. I would have been more happy with the Jaguars if they got this guy as a coordinator and not a coach. Like you said, Bryce, how many moving pieces he's gonna have to deal with? Not just the offense, not just Trevor Lawrence. I mean, there's everything else and all the moving parts around it that I don't know, and I don't feel confident at all in the Jaguars pick of this. But I'll go back to what you said, Podfather. What if they win? Listen, I've eaten my words on this show many times, and I could be I could be wrong. But listen, and I'm not hoping for it. But I'm going to tell you right now, I put money on me. I will take any bet of $20 because I'm a cheapskate against the success of this football team, against being not good compared to yours, and we would figure out what those parameters would be and how you define success. Define success. But I want that stable person that can help turn the franchise around. Very let's be honest, and Podfather, you said it. You were right there. I just said it. I hope you're feeling well. The cons are not. They're not very much in tune to what goes on in the NFL and how it's ran. So that being said, Bryce, if you had the opportunity for your football team to hire Liam Cohen as your head coach, would that be a move that you would make for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
No.
Notice how long it didn't take long for him to say it. Now,
that doesn't mean he's not a good coach. I just know, guys. Okay. I actually have to head out. Okay. 11, but no, I would not hire Liam Cohen. Podfather doesn't want to hear this, but Sonny Clark, like I said last week, you made some very salient points, even though you were going crazy. You
calmed down a little bit.
I want to please clip out this Tom McManus interview because I can't wait to hear what he has to say, particularly around what he thinks with Peterson went wrong with this organization.
I really want to know that deep. Yeah. He's kind of touched on it, but he's never dove into it on his show. I'm going to dive into it.
Look, I don't expect Tom to go crazy. Like Tom is
he's not going to go out rogue like me.
Mind, obviously, I know he's a professional. He's got relationships there.
Exactly.
But I want to hear that, and I want to hear his response to your rant last week. So please, you make sure you clip that part.
Clip it. I'll have it up later on today. So
all right,
we'll do that. I'll clip it out. Bryce, let me rephrase that. Brooklyn, I hope you have a good day, and it's going to become just the word, but I got to keep it in the intro because it's hard to make those intros. So.
Feel better, Podfather.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, my friend, be good. It's always good to see Brooklyn. Bryce from Brooklyn. Bryce in I say from Brooklyn. It's Bryce in Brooklyn because he's from Pittsburgh. So I keep getting that wrong. But anyway, so I'm going to ask you: would you feel confident about the hiring of Cohen for the Dallas Cowboys?
I'd feel comfortable hiring Brian Schottenheimer. I mean, the thing is that there really wasn't a coach out there that I was like going, gotta get him. Because, Deion's name was out there and Belichick was out there for a second. And, but nothing that I sat there and went, who's going to be the future face of this franchise coaching-wise moving forward? I didn't feel that at all. I know they were going to – it was funny for a while. I kept thinking, if they can't find anybody, it'd be funny if they just call back McCarthy and go, hey, Mike.
By the way, you say that, and it's kind of like a little funny, but I watch a guy who's Ferrello. Ferrello said that was actually something that was discussed. So – and believe me, Ferrello is in. He's maybe not as good as what's his nose, Adam Schefter, but he's got his nose to the ground. He hears a lot of shit. So if he says that it was talked about, it probably was.
I'm trying, but it goes like this. I'm sure everything is talked about. I'm sure everything is brought up every once in a while. Was Dave Meltzer was telling everybody that Alexa Bliss was so far apart from a contract that she's not going to resign with WWE. This shows the Rumble last night.
Now, does that mean – I'm glad you said that. Now, did she sign a contract or did she get paid for an appearance?
I don't know. I think she's been re-up. I don't trust Meltzer at all. I think he's a piece of shit. Because again, he's a dirt sheet writer. He hears things and he runs with it and thinks that this is – they
used him on that McMahon thing like he was like a full blown guy who had no respect.
And he's a big AEW mark, and you can't trust what he says. I mean, I'm sorry, it just is what it is. But but plus the fact he'll give these 12-star matches to some guy like Kenny Omega, but Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle got maybe 3 stars.
Yeah.
I mean, he a lot of bias there. I mean, he's as much of a shitty worker as most jobbers out there. So,
let me ask you a question. We're off subject, but I can care less. This is what we did. Did you watch the Mr. McMahon thing on the Netflix? What was your take up on that? And by the way, I kind of know what it was because I watched your show and you made mention of it. So but I want people to hear because I liked what you said. There was a portion of it I disagreed with, and I don't know if you'll get it. So go ahead. What was your take up on what you seen on that Netflix special on Vince McMahon?
They didn't show me anything I didn't already know.
That's okay. That's yeah.
Now it was interesting to hear him comment about the whole ring announcer that he may or may not have raped, and when he said, "Well, statute of limitations is running out, so doesn't matter now."
When someone goes with that, that there's a little bit of an issue there.
Yeah, and all I know is that from where they have been with him in that regime, what they did last night, you want to talk about night and day. I mean, they're in a way better place than they've ever been. Their numbers are going up like crazy. I know Triple H comes out every press conference and says, "Hey, we're the third highest show of the last 12 months, and between the 2 WrestleManias and now this one." And I'm like, "Oh, of course." They have such positivity going on, and they're going overseas. They're exploring options out there, which they were not. I mean, they had the TNA champion on their show last night. You want to talk about the biggest pop of them all when Joe Hendry walked out. Yeah, the crowd just number 15. They just ate it up.
And that girl was in it again.
Jordan Grace.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan Grace is now in WWE now.
Is she fully in?
Yeah.
there? I did not know that.
She's down to the Performance Center now. So yeah. So she's, but because she's
here's what I know. Here's what I know. It was January 19th. I was sitting right here. I was going to walk across the street, pay $25 to watch the AEW Genesis or TNA Genesis. I just didn't feel like being around a lot of people that day, so I didn't do it.
All right.
But I'm going to tell you what I know. I heard it because I had the doors open. You could hear it. And that stadium is not America Airlines Stadium. No. It's not this huge stadium.
It looked full. It looked full, the picture.
There was one section, there's that one section off to the right-hand side and the left-hand side. Those two sections, no seats are sold. So depending on what was going on, you've seen those empty seats. But every place else, there was not probably an empty seat in the house. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I heard it. And it was loud, and this was TNA. Now, first of all, if WWE decided to come in there, I would have definitely heard it because of the loudness of that, because of the popularity. But interestingly enough, talking about Mr. McMahon, I think there was an opportunity if he was going to actually get back in the business for him. That would have been what he should have bought. Is the TNA brand. If he was going to do it. Now, I'll ask you, is he actually seriously going to get back into the business, you think?
He's not going back to the wrestling business. He's going to the entertainment business. Okay? He's not going to do pro wrestling. He's not going to do sports entertainment. He's going to do movies and TV and shit like that. That's what he wants to do.
Okay. All right,
okay?
Very well.
Because here's the thing. The wrestling business would not take him. Because
I don't believe it.
Well, the reason I say is because while right now it's really iffy if he is guilty or innocent on a lot of things right now, but the thing is that he can't do what Triple H and Nick Khan are doing right now.
No,
he really can't. And
no, because he never wanted to go in that direction where they're going right now.
Right. I mean, now they've got TNA. Partnering with them, that's
what I'm saying. They missed out. He missed out on that opportunity.
Let me talk. Here's the talk. All right, let me get it out.
I'm interjecting. So
we'll stop. Anyway, they announced last night on March 6th that on Tubi, WWE Evolve is going to take place.
Yeah.
So they merged with Evolve. So this is that WWE ID thing. I think
they've had Evolve, haven't they?
They've
had it.
They had it, but it was unofficial because they didn't have the brand. They didn't have the brand with it. Now they've actually got the brand for it.
Okay.
And the thing is that this is now a place for guys that we know that are looking to be seen by bigger people. This is where to go. And boy, does that piss off a certain promoter down there in Dallas, who, by the way, unfriended me. So
by the way. The one up north not north, but over in Jersey, the one that did Priest, the guy who did Priest, the Monster Factory guy. He's not very happy about him either. I read that. The WWD ID thing, stuff like that, I guess is not very, right.
Well, the thing is that I mean, they'll look everywhere. They'll even look at the Monster Factory. That might take business away from that gentleman you're speaking of, but they're in the business of having their own business, and again, they're the juggernaut. They're the ones that are just printing money right now. I mean, imagine this. You already have a bought and paid show. Everything's sold out before you announce one match.
Oh, crazy.
That's a hell of a problem to have.
Interesting. Let me ask you a question. Back in the day, we're talking about asses in seats and who got the asses in the seats. How do they figure that out in today's today's market?
Who's over?
Huh?
It's always about the one thing they commented on there. Who's over with the crowd?
Well,
Yeah.
Then how did the heels get? How do you figure that out as far as that? When you say over, it's usually a baby face as far as that is concerned.
Heels get over too.
Yeah, but not obviously not to the magnitude that baby faces do. Let's be honest.
Well,
right?
thing is, if you look back in the '80s, right, when they used to run 3 shows a night, you had the Hogan show, you had the Warrior show, and you had the tag team show, right? You had your whoever was your WWE champion was on one show, your Intercontinental champion on one show, and your tag team champion on the other show. And like the tag team show would be the one that made the less money, but they play in smaller venues. Then the Intercontinental show would be on the mid-range, the mid-range arenas. Then Hogan and all of them would be at Boston Garden, Madison Square Garden, the Spectrum, whatever, right? Then they would actually bring all those shows together for those particular shows, but they would go do the Chicago Rosemont Horizon or whatever, So then it changed again when Austin and Rock and Triple H and all those guys came in, and all of them are over. All of them are Hall of Famers, right? I mean, it's about crowd. I mean, now it's about crowd interaction. Rhea Ripley is. There's a reason why The Undertaker endorsed her on Netflix. There's a reason why everybody loves her, because her personality, it clicks with the camera. And, people like, if you have a guy who is so good, you just fucking hate him. Triple H is that guy at one time.
You mean like the Dallas Cowboys?
Again, 50,000 people will pay to see their team play the Cowboys. That's why that stadium works for other teams. But it's a good problem to have. It's a really good problem to have. The NFL is the same way. Think of it this way: look at how many games are sold out before an injury is actually reported.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when the Cowboys were 1-15, they couldn't get a sellout, even though they had Troy Aikman and Jimmy Johnson and everything. That was the first year. And then the second year, they finally got one sellout. Then the third year, they were selling out them all. Then it's never had a sellout. It never had a no sellout since then. Then again, those numbers are kind of tampered with, and I'm sure that tickets are bought through certain groups and everything else, and they're considered sales.
A lot of corporations and stuff like that as well.
But that's how they make their money. So
that's the way it's done.
And the thing is, Jerry can sit here and say, man, he's got a lot of pride in this team that losing is the last thing he wants to see. But I think the last thing he really wants to see is his account going to the negatives. Okay.
And well, I lost my headphones.
You're falling apart.
Trying to get comfortable. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm the one who's sick, and Sonny's here falling apart.
I got to fix the damn thing on. There we go. Fix the damn thing on here. There we go. I have to get comfortable. I had a long day yesterday, so my body is not. It's not being.
No way. I was in the hospital yesterday. Be quiet.
Well, yeah, I was I was at a Comic-Con for 12 hours, so there you go.
Selling coffee.
I sold a lot of coffee. Excuse me. I sold a lot of coffee and a lot of hot dogs, and I sold a lot of stuff yesterday. It was a very busy day for Sonny. So, but that being said, I take Schottenheimer. I feel, and I wouldn't even poo-poo the idea as bad. Obviously, it is. So, I think there's a lot to be said about what Bryce said. I am tired of the Jacksonville Jaguars being the joke of the NFL. I mean, hell, at number 29, you got the Dallas Cowboys. Number 30, you got the Jaguars. Number 31, you have the Panthers. And 32, you got the Browns. I mean, God. I mean, I feel like I wish I could find my Joan Rivers. Can we talk? I mean, can we do something serious? Can we find something that makes sense to where when you're on the football field, you're not embarrassed to say I'm a Jaguar fan? And that's where I am now. I put up with a lot of it over the years, and obviously Tom did too. But I'm so tired. I'm so tired of seeing the mediocrity, not just out of the Jaguars, but amongst other teams, and everybody's writing home to mama about one player and putting gold jackets on guys that, why are we even talking about, a future Hall of Famer when they haven't been in the league for 2 or 3 years? Outside of Patrick Mahomes, you need to keep your mouth shut when it comes to something like that.
I mean, you're not wrong, but the thing is it's amazing that, we're all sitting here bagging on decisions for next year when they haven't played a game for next year yet.
We got to. That's what we do.
Yeah, well, that's what you do. To me, I'm kind of let's just wait and see, because again, they haven't had free agency yet, which we know how that worked out for Dallas last year. They haven't had the draft yet, so the season's coming to an end here next week. So then we go until April, then we got the draft, and then from there we evaluate college players who've been picked by the pros, and then we look at the free agency part as well. And I'm not sure what comes first. Is free agency come before the draft? Say that you broke up right before. Does free agency come before the draft? Or is that after?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, no. It comes usually after the draft, because they're trying to figure out what they didn't get in the draft. They got to fill with free agency, so it's usually after.
Right. Okay, so it's going to be one of those things where if Dallas sits on their hands and does nothing, and they hamstring this coach because they didn't get again. And there's another thing. What if Jerry Jones does the same thing to Schottenheimer that he did to McCarthy last year? Are we going to blame the coach on that? Look, you might not like Mike McCarthy, and I get it. He's not your guy at all, but he had very unfair, shit happen to him last year with the owner. The owner did nothing to help him out. When your one big free move you bring in is Ezekiel Elliott, when you have Derrick Henry out there and Saquon Barkley and guys Saquon wasn't a free agent, but he was I think, wasn't he traded?
No, he's free agent, and they let him out of his contract. They
that's
wouldn't
right.
pay him the extra $3 million he was asking for to stay, and then the Eagles overdid that one. Which, by the way, probably one of the there are certain incidents in the NFL. Randy Moss and the Dallas Cowboys would be one, not being able to get that. This was one of those memorable moves that will go down in history as one of the worst moves in the NFL history. Letting Saquon, especially if they win a Super Bowl, that you want to talk about bitch slapping the New York Giants all over the place. That's what would end up happening.
Saquon got MVP. Normally a quarterback award, and went to a running back. So
no,
he didn't get the MVP.
The MVPs haven't been picked yet.
I thought they was.
Now, they have some media outlets that do it, but
okay, I got that.
Some media outlets have their version of the MVP, but not the quote unquote official. He's not going to win it, so
he might.
Well, I'll say
why? Why
if they do it based upon really, 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 really the regular season, that's Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson's to lose.
But would the Eagles be where they're at without Saquon Barkley?
Well, the MVP is usually 90% of the time reserved for a quarterback. And the offensive player of the year will be Saquon Barkley.
We'll see what happens.
Offensive player of the year will definitely be Saquon Barkley. Okay. And if it's not, it'll be one of the other two. What they should do is name the awards after certain players, so at least you know what position they're going to be. Like the Tom Brady award goes to so and so who's a quarterback, that would be a good name for a quarterback. Yeah,
would be good. Or the Walter Payton. Well, the Walter Payton's already. He has his own award because that's
the man of the year. Man of the year.
Mm-hmm. It'd be cool if they did something like that to at least pay homage to. But where do you start that line at? Do you go before Tom Brady? Do you go to do you even go back to the Johnny Unitas years or the Joe Namath years, or the years that no one really was really around to watch? Or do you go to the 80s, the Joe Montana era? Or do you go to the Steve Young, Troy Aikman era? Or do you go to, where do you start? You know?
That's why I don't think they mess with it. I think there's
maybe
probably too much controversy in that. I can see that being a problem. And the NFL's got a lot of problems. They don't need to cause any more problems over nonsense that they've gone. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about. We got Tom coming in 40 minutes. He's going to be at the top of the hour. We'll take a break here fairly soon so we can warm up coffee and do all that good stuff. That being said, of course, that's the name of this show. What was your take up on the Bills game and did you get the opportunity to watch? I think you had to work during that.
I got to listen to both of them on the radio. So,
okay.
I mean, different experience than most people can do it because I couldn't see it. It wasn't a visual
Sure.
game. But, I mean, we can do the ticky-tack calls again with the Chiefs getting and everything else. But, you know, at the end of the day, you still got to win the game. So, and this is the first – I mean, you know, if you're going based on those two games, the Commanders played like a team that's got a rookie quarterback. And
yeah.
And which is fine. I mean, they had 55 points put up against them in the championship game. That's not good. Right. The Chiefs, for the first time ever, scored over 30 points this year.
Right.
That's where I see the definitive line right there. Because it's a matter of, 23 points with each other. So, am I happy about who's going to Super Bowl? No. I mean, I lost both my games, so I mean, obviously, I picked them a heart, and that didn't work out so well. But of course, I had nothing to play for at that point anyway. It didn't matter. But
yeah.
But it was one of those things to where I feel so bad for the Bills. I feel so bad because that city, God bless them, their biggest player, the biggest name player they've ever had, is a guy who may have killed his wife. I mean, let's face it, I mean, he's no longer with us, so, we can debate that all we want to.
No, but you're right.
I mean, and it's funny because you go back and watch his footage. It's hard to think a guy that talented, that, very easy with the media, very easy to work with.
Yeah.
Would be a guy who was just
capable.
Yeah, that could possibly be we knew he beat his wife at one time. We never knew that he actually, for a fact that he killed her or not.
Well, the police definitely covered the fact that he beat the hell out of that girl.
Yeah.
So I was just like,
So I mean, we can all assume, but then
Well, and think about this, and this is one. Who is the best linebacker? The player in history, you think?
Was Dick Butkus a linebacker?
Who?
Dick
Butkus, he was a linebacker, yes. I'll just throw it out there where I was going with my point. Lawrence Taylor, he was more of an end kind of, he was kind of
more of a defensive end.
Yeah, more of an end kind of, but he also, but think about Lawrence Taylor. No one thinks of him as a scumbag. I do, but but a lot of people don't look at they look at him as one of the best to ever play the game, but they don't think he's a scumbag. Being a child rapist is kind of, it's kind of a tough one for me to swallow. As far as that portion.
I know he was found guilty of that.
Well, yeah. He pleaded out to a lesser charge, which means it was worse. But that having been said, statutory rape and all this other, all this not. If you get the opportunity to do it, if you feel like getting sick to your stomach, go watch that or go find that and do it. It just makes you sick to your stomach. Ray Lewis, another guy. Look at this guy, Ray Lewis. I mean, I'm sorry. I know Bryce doesn't want to go up. I mean, I get his love, but listen, the guy's a scumbag. See, and that's another reason why I bring a lot of, my feelings about people into whether or not I want that guy on my team. I hate scumbags, and not saying that the NFL is not full of them, but I mean the ones that are right there. Justin Tucker now is becoming one of those guys.
Well, we'll see if the Browns pick him up. No, but on what do you call it? I mean, Michael Irvin He's had that baggage for a while.
I can't stand him either. You see, and that's my point. These are guys that are so loved. I mean, they're scumbags. Oh my God! But I know they're trying to separate the guy that was on the football field compared to the guy of who he is. I get it, but I can't. I really have a hard time. Case in point, he's not here, so I'm not blowing smoke up his ass. This guy. You want to talk about a guy that went through a road to become an NFL football player? Tom McManus is a guy that you can look at and say, wow, have a lot of pride in what he did. Even though he only did it for 5 years, this guy busted his nut to do it. And you can look at him and go, that's one of my reasons why I love this guy. He had no clue who I was, and I reached out to him because he was my favorite Jaguar, and he played, and he was someone that I was proud of that was on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You think about it, like I grew up with the Cowboys in the 80s, right? So I got to watch Randy White and Ned Too Jones and Harvey Martin. Mm-hmm. And Harvey Martin, God rest his soul. I mean, he's a former Super Bowl MVP with the co-owner of that with Randy White. Mm-hmm. For the Super Bowl against the Broncos, I think it was, right. And but I'm always going to remember that he died of drug overdose,
right?
And it sucks because Mark Twain had the same thing with him. I mean,
Charles Haley's one of those guys, but he's not dead. But
yeah, but the thing is,
I like Charles Haley because what he did is he did it to himself. He didn't, do it to other people. But I can live with him.
Yeah, but then you look at a guy like Bill Romanowski, right?
It's funny you mentioned that. I just literally watched that on Wednesday afternoon. The Bill Romanowski. If you listen, it's on YouTube. Go find it. It's on YouTube. It's amazing. What an amazing story.
The NFL has given us a lot of great characters. I mean, good or bad.
Lyle Zato,
Brian Bosworth.
But
there's several of them out there. I mean, T.O. for what he was, he could make or break your team. Mm-hmm. And Randy Moss. Everybody always looked at him as possibly a cancer for your team, but the guy was nothing but, probably one of the greatest receivers that ever played.
I'll give him that. Not the best, but I'll give him it.
I mean, all the problems he thought he had out of college never materialized in the pros.
And that's something that Jameis Winston hasn't been able to get over. Some guys haven't been able to get over it. You're right. You kind of see the little bit of the problems that they're having in college, and you go, But
then, if you look at one of your guys, Ryan Tannehill, he's become a superstar. Outside the helmet, doing stuff to appeal to a fan base. Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce do that with their respective teams.
Absolutely.
Travis Kelce's got a little help because his girlfriend's got $2 billion in her account. So, good for him.
Well, and you want to know what's really great about that is he dumped a gold digger, so he's like, well, if you can't pay half, I ain't doing it. I've never been more proud to be a man that day. It's like, no. Just because I'm the millionaire doesn't mean I'm picking up the tab on this. I love it. It was great.
Yeah, there's a lot of great.
But you're right. Characters are big time in the NFL.
I can remember, when you knew who was in your division, you knew the players that you saw year after year. I remember seeing Ron Jaworski. I can't say
Jaworski.
Ron Jaworski from the Eagles, right? Neil Lomax for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah,
Joe Theismann and John Riggins. I freaking hate it. I respect the shit out of him now. Of course. But Dexter Manley was a personality that I just
healthy respect.
He knocked out Danny White in the championship game. So I didn't really like. I saw Danny White give a speech one time at a banquet we had for our high school, and he talked about he was being chased all over the field by Dexter Manley or is it the Redskins or the Steelers? I don't remember who it was. So he eventually. He backed up the pass, and somebody was coming at him. He just says, here's the ball. I'll block for you. Go.
Exactly.
So.
think about all the things that they never used to do. They're doing it now. Saquon Barkley from the Giants to the Eagles, that would have never happened 10 years ago or earlier.
Well,
You don't trade a guy within your division to the division foe. You just don't do it.
Brett Favre went from the Packers to the Vikings with a quick detour to the Jets. I mean,
he was like one of the first mold changes when that happened, because that was just
Joe Montana was that way too, though.
Joe Montana spent his whole career in the 49ers, except for the fact that he went to Kansas City, and they were AFC and NFC, so they were different.
Yeah, but the thing is, he was able to take his game, and maybe I heard you wrong on that, but bear with me here. I'm sick, so bear with me.
Sure.
I mean, he took his talents, went to the AFC, and took them to a championship game. So he got the Chiefs right to the threshold, just couldn't pull the trigger, and that's where it wasn't the Bills. I think it was the Steelers that beat him that year. So
I think it was the Steelers. Now that you say that,
because Dallas played the Steelers in the Super Bowl that year. So, but I mean, the thing is that in
Arizona.
Yeah. So, the thing is there's a lot of, it's funny because you look at Aaron Rodgers, right? There's talk, and I don't know if it's just talk, that he's talked to Dan Campbell about possibly coming to the Lions, but there's no way he's going to bench Jared Goff for Aaron Rodgers.
Interesting that you say that, because last week I had it in the notes that what do people actually think about Jared Goff? And to put the blame on Jared Goff, and that the whole blame on him would be unfair. I'd just say it. I don't know if it's more the fact that I'm kind of a closet Lion fan. I got the Lion shirt. I'm kind of a closet Lion guy. And when they hired Dan Campbell, I loved it. And where they're at now, it's just kind of like, I feel really good. But more in the fact that, how do you take a guy like, your quarterback who got you where Matthew Stafford was never able to get you? It took them to trade for Matthew Stafford to get him to do it. So there's a lot of great stories that are on there. But where do you think that he lands as far as, an NFL quarterback?
Is he a free agent?
I don't know. I can find that out, but think about that. Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
I mean, he might just fall. He might just fall into the category that Josh Allen's found himself into. Just right now, he's a great quarterback. He was very unlucky in the fact that he's got to deal with probably a better player than him. I mean, as long as Patrick Mahomes is in the league.
Oh yeah, he just signed this contract. Actually,
okay,
he just signed this new contract. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's huge, by the way.
Good for him. I mean, for what that guy's done. Look, it's hard to let 1 year of promise be, a stopping point for you. It happened to the Cowboys when Wade Phillips had the Cowboys go 13-3 and lost in the first divisional round to the Giants. Mm-hmm. The Giants trying to be that effing team in the long run. I mean, the Giants won the Super Bowl that year, so it was like we lost to that team. So,
right.
And if the Lions lost to the Commanders,
right,
and the Commanders got whooped in the next round. So that's a hard pill to swallow, because you could have been that team. Yeah. I'm not saying that they overshot them. I think the Commanders just played out of their mind, and there was no stopping them. And that's the NFL these days. I mean, any given Sunday, the old saying that you always, it's so sad that saying went to a really bad football movie, but yeah, it is what it is. I mean,
it is what it is.
by the way, what's your favorite football movie of all time?
My favorite football movie of all time is North Dallas 40.
So I think mine's The Replacements, because I remember the 87.
That's not NFL.
It's football. That's why I said football. I didn't say NFL.
All right.
And for that matter, North Dallas 40 was based on the Cowboys, but it wasn't the Cowboys in the movie.
I know, but I'm just saying.
But I mean, for me, it was all because I remember the '87 strike season. I remember going to games. I remember seeing Steve Poor out there on the bridge protesting. I remember all that stuff. So
you could get in for cheap too.
Yeah, and I remember how the entire city was booing Danny White and wanted Kevin Sweeney to be their quarterback. Kevin fucking Sweeney. And they hated Everson Walls. Oh, Everson Walls and Danny White had a feud with each other because when
I remember that
when Danny crossed the picket line, Everson says, "You motherfucker, you got to stand up for us." Then Dorsett falls too because Dorsett got bills to pay because he was never good with money. And then
exactly. And believe me, the money wasn't there back in the day like it is today.
And but it's funny because when you look at those two, I mean, in the '80s. The 2 years the Redskins won the Super Bowl were strike shortened seasons.
Yep.
82 and 87. So, like the 1 year they finally won the Super Bowl and played a full 16-game season and actually looked like a legitimate contender was the last one they won against the Bills. So, it is what it is. But, look, I love the Replacements though. I think that's a good movie. I still watch it. I don't know why. Necessary Roughness because it's filmed in Denton, but I love that movie just because of the cheesiness and how dumb it was. But I mean, it was still Scott Bakula and Hector, what's his name, who would play the coach. I
can't remember that, but I'm not good.
I remember the movie.
I have it here, but it wouldn't be able to get here.
Yeah, it's funny because movies like Rudy, which were good feel good movies, but not really a true story considering those who actually played with Rudy, like Joe Montana, who was sitting and go, it's not quite how that worked out.
North Dallas 40 is my favorite football movie. My favorite sports movie is Bull Durham, and then followed by North Dallas 40. And then you can move about 4 or 5 of them up and down. Cosner did Tin Cup, which was just a crack up.
I love Tin Cup.
Tin Cup was even good with the romance side of it. And I was the Bull Durham romance thing. I like the game portions of it. But Tin Cup with him walking into that appointment with his golf shoes on, I almost fell out.
With the passing of Bob Uecker, you go back and watch those Major League movies.
Major League, yep.
I just love like saying, "There's a pitch." Oh shit.
My favorite one, everybody says it's just a bit outside. That's everybody's favorite, but that's a great line. But the line after that is better. It's better. He does it. Try. What does he say? Just a bit outside. And the best line is tried the corner and missed. He was so far he tried the corner and missed because it's on radio. No one's seen how bad that was. So it just cracked me up. So all right. So here's what we're gonna do. All right, we're gonna take a break because I need to get some more coffee. And I need to take some medicine. My back is killing me. We're gonna get back here in about 5-10 minutes and get back into setting it up to bring in Tom McManus in the final hour. I got the question that Bryce wants to know about the former coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Doug Peterson, and so that's going to be my first question. Then we're going to get into it, and I'm going to have a serious. I hope Cuervo can get in here. I'm going to. What? Hold on. You know what? It's almost like there was a ringing in his ears when I said it.
You can't see me.
That song. They played last night if you watched a little bit of the Royal Rumble, which, by the way, was a real good show. Cuervo. So what we're going to do is we're not going to take the break. Yeah. You already took a break. You can
another break.
Yeah. And so we have Tom at the top of the hour. He confirmed this morning that he's definitely going to be here. So I got my fingers crossed for that. We got a question from Bryce from Brooklyn. Everyone's calling him Brooklyn, by the way. why he thinks that it did not work for Doug Peterson and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we'll have that to talk about with Tom, and then I'm gonna have some good questions for him as far as the Jaguars are concerned. Be ready for that. That's going to be there. So since we're not going to take the break, and we got the one and only Cuervo in the room, I guess I want to talk a little bit. You talked about how good Matt Eberflus is as a defensive coordinator. And so that being said, I want to hop into you. The deal is done now. It was kind of like just a rumor talk about, but the Dallas Cowboys have Matt Eberflus. You were really, really high in reality for the Dallas Cowboys for this pick. You said he is not as bad. I don't know. What did you say about Eberflus? I don't want to I don't want to make it wrong. What you said.
I got you, Sonny. Don't worry. We Podfather and I
help me out.
Sometimes your brain's a little scrambled. But,
all the time now.
But first of all, I owe a little something to the Podfather. I know that a lot of times I hardly acknowledge it when I come on. So I want to very clearly say good morning to the Podfather. I want to say it's good to see you. I want to say hopefully you're feeling better. You don't look much better than probably a few days ago.
I'm only 24 hours removed from a hospital visit, so even that tells you where I'm at. Well,
the fact that you're on with us, man, it's I'm gonna write you up for a Medal of Honor. How about that?
Oh, that'd be nice.
And you've had a messed up ankle since August, which is crazy.
Yeah, I talked about this earlier. Back in August, I was walking the parking lot at my job, and I stepped in a pothole and twisted my ankle, thinking that's what it was. And I've had twists. I mean, I've been thrown out the top. I've been thrown over the top rope and eliminated in battle royals and stuff like that. And I've come down my ankle before and just walk it off. You feel better, whatever. I had no idea it was broke. So I've been walking around it for about 4 months, and then I'm like, this shouldn't still be hurting. So while I was in the hospital, while I was getting my flu test, I said, hey, while you guys are here, and I guess while I'm here, can you X-ray my ankle? Just because I told them the story, and they're like, okay, sure. And because I thought it was like a torn ligament, which that'd be an MRI, that an X-ray wouldn't be able to show that. They came back and said, yeah, it's wrist fracture, all right. I'm like, really? So now I got a walking boot. So I've got weeks of light duty ahead of me. So yay, man.
Oh wow, jeez. That's
which is good for you. Which is good for you. A little light duty action. That walking that mile that you have to walk at that damn.
There's more than that. Imagine going back and forth all night long. Man, I got 15 miles a day just walking. Try doing that with a bum ankle.
That's why I go to Las Vegas. I get a cart, and I can walk, but I get the cart anyway.
Hey, Sonny, I know about broken ankles.
Yes, that's how we met.
That's how we met, and the one and only time we've met is I met Sonny.
Obi has seen you
a grateful day, isn't it?
I have. Yeah. But all right, so let's get back on track here. So, first and foremost, the Eberflus thing, it kind of dragged out a little bit because the Cowboys had to satisfy the Rooney Rule, so they couldn't hire him right away.
Do they guys do that for assistants too?
It applies to coordinators. I did not
know that.
Yeah, it applies to. I don't know about position coaches, but I know for offensive.
Does it count if you've already hired an African American though? Because or if you have one that was going to be hired anyway.
Like for a different position.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's just. You got to satisfy for every position, I believe.
I'll look it up.
But
I'm sure there's language in there that's hard to read.
Yeah. What I was saying though was that, excuse me, I'm still getting over my nastiness.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. Well, I've been since New Year's.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Did you have that X thing?
I don't think so. I didn't get tested for anything like that. I just told them give me some antibiotics and
Yeah. I mean, I went and I got tested for flu A, pneumonia, and the RSV stuff. So they said you got flu A. So
I think I had RSV, to be honest, because I've had it before. So I'm like, okay, I remember what this feels like, and it felt like the viral respiratory infection, whatever. But
okay, I got it. By the way, I got it. Here it is. Rooney Rule teams must interview at least one minority or female candidate for quote unquote senior positions. Team must interview two external minority candidates for head coaching vacancies. And teams must interview at least one external minority candidate for coordinator positions.
yeah.
And so that's what's going on as far as that's concerned. So just a heads up. I looked it up real quick.
Who'd the Cowboys interview that was of diversity?
For the DC?
Maybe because technically they didn't interview Deion Sanders.
No, well, no, they can count Deion if they know. You know what? I don't know if they actually made that official, but I know I know Jerry talked to somebody else, and it was someone, and he did it a couple of years ago with the former coach of the Bengals, Lewis. He did that with Lewis. He basically had a lunch with Lewis and marked it as the Rooney Rule thing. But I forget who he did for the Rooney Rule for this year. I'll see if I can find that too.
I mean, it wasn't Aaron Glenn, and that's the only one I could think of that might have been up for something.
Yeah.
Maybe it was, I don't know, was it Vance Joseph maybe? Because I know he got some interviews around the league. Denver's DC. I can't remember. I'm not sure, to be honest with you guys.
Okay. I'll see here in January 2025, Robert Salas and Leslie Frazier.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
It was Leslie Frazier was the one I was thinking of, which, by the way, you should have got one of those two guys.
Well, I think Saul wanted to go to the 49ers. I think
that's where he wanted to do if he couldn't get a head coaching job at Jacksonville. He wanted Jacksonville's job. And there was another team he was thinking of, if I remember correctly. So
it's so hard for a coach like him who was dismissed the way he was halfway through the season to sit here and just get a head coaching job right off the bat coming out of that. I think he's got to kind of start all over, start with a position, work your way back up for a year or two, and then get back into the head coaching gig. But
yeah,
I think
works.
I think how he was dismissed by the Jets so earlier in the year, and when general manager Aaron Rodgers told him, "Get the hell out of my team,"
right?
I just think it's hard for any coach like that to sit there and pick up a head coaching gig from there because you were run out by your players.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the normal pattern, guys. I mean, a guy gets fired like that, they normally got to take a step down for a little while and kind of, earn another opportunity, so to speak. But,
which okay, I know this was never going to happen because 29 years is still 29 years. If things were the same today as they were back then when Tom Landry got let go by the Cowboys, do you think he would go to another team and be an assistant head football coach, or do you think any team back then would have hired him as a head coach?
Well, a guy of Landry's pedigree, I mean that's like today's,
But but basically, although Tomlin doesn't have the wins, he's got the same amount of Super Bowl wins as Landry does. So
you said Tomlin?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have the same pedigree that Landry had, but he has the same amount of Super Bowl wins.
I think because with a guy like Mike Tomlin, with his situation, with the longevity that he's had as a head coach, I think what that shows is that he has proven that he can maintain that position. Because a lot of times the guys that have to step down, like a Eberflus or a Robert Saleh, it's because those guys are hired and fired within 3 to 4 years. You know what I'm saying?
Which says a lot about it. I know this pisses Sonny off because he wants somebody to come in and win a Super Bowl immediately. But when coaches can't weather the storm, and deal with the bad to get on with the good.
Wait. Wait a minute.
A guy like
Don't
Tomlin has
start
shown
that
he's
crap.
capable before.
You are so full of crap. I never said. Oh, God damn it. I never said that they have to come in and win a Super Bowl. You know, would you
But
not?
we can hear your thoughts, Sonny. That's the thing. We can hear your thoughts.
God, unbelievable. You're messing me up.
We don't want to hear everything, but we know those thoughts.
Really want to hear that.
Anyway, good Lord.
But Sonny, you're sitting there saying the Jacksonville Jaguars have made the worst move picking up the coach they picked. He's not coached one game for the Jacksonville Jaguars yet. And you've already said that's the worst move in the world.
Cuervo, who was worse? Was it Schottenheimer or my guy? Hold on. And before you answer that question, okay?
Duval.
Sonny, I'm so glad you have that. I wanted to.
It's now in the regular list. Okay, now it's in the regular list.
Really, I ain't a lie.
Yeah,
it is
you should be proud of me.
The Bears are who we thought they were.
You can replace that one.
It's right up underneath it now.
So he's got to hit me with the chair. Yeah, it is Royal Rumble weekend, so there you go.
Hey, when it's
what Rumble that was.
But let me ask you a question, Cuervo. Which one do you like better? Do you like that one?
Duval.
What the hell is even that?
What the hell is even that?
I don't think you need that part. You see him saying Duval and just be done with it. Because it was so bad that it's so good.
It was so embarrassing. See, and that's the gosh.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Sonny. If they go on and win the Super Bowl, if they do,
okay,
you're gonna love the fact that he said that.
I haven't answered the question.
You'll always be known for that moment right there.
What if? Listen, I don't know how many times I've said it on the show. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. But here's the thing: there's no way I'm wrong. There's no, and the reason being is real simple.
Duval.
And I know that sounds really petty. Sounds like I'm back in high school making fun of my dorky friends. But I'm sorry. If I'm feeling this way, what do you think the players are feeling about this? And listen, you got to win over your locker room.
They probably just laughed it off. They probably just laughed it off and like.
TJ, by the way, just let you know, TJ Watt thinks that could be something that is very bad for this franchise, because if you don't think that they are behind his back and in his face making fun and hating the fact that happened, he said you're crazy. Now that comes from JJ, not TJ, his brother, JJ Watt says if you don't think that's he says you're living in a dreamland. And listen, I always felt bad for JJ being on a football team that couldn't get to the Super Bowl and win it and do whatever it needs to be done, because I thought he was one of the best. I respect what the man says, and that's what he said.
One thing, though. I'm no one to talk, because when Barry Switzer came in for the Cowboys, his first opening press conference was, and we're going to win a Super Bowl, baby! And he did. So, look, I mean, he had a great team. I mean, so that kind of helps him out there. But I mean, where this guy doesn't have that at all. But I mean, the thing is though, is that there are coaches that make those embarrassing moments in their opening deal, whatever, it happens. Okay. But it's how he does it next year through the draft, through free agency, through training camp, through preseason.
I know. Wait, I just said I know I'm being petty. I just said I'm acting like a high schooler.
You're being a little bitch, okay? Stop it.
Yeah, I'm being a little bitchy because, listen, image means something too. And being the image of a dork does not do it for me, especially when it comes to men's sports.
But you almost like, man, I didn't get the toy that I wanted. I'm so pissed. I didn't get what I wanted. Wow. I'm like, it might work for you.
No. I've mentioned the number of people. I even would take your crappy coach, over this guy. All right, I want stability. I want some real.
What if it's
coaching.
stability? What if it's Mellow Duval?
If he gets it done,
the
listen.
mellow
You want to make the
method
$20 bet that this
across
is going to work or not? You want to make the $20 bet that this is going to work or not?
I want to do a hair bet.
All right, I got $20 for anybody that within our show that if you think that the Jaguars are going to be successful with this guy, we'll figure out the parameters of what success means. But I will take that bet that he won't be. So, so whoever wants to be on track, we'll talk about the parameters of it and see if you agree to those parameters. But I got $20 that says that he's not going to.
Time out. Are you saying the parameters or are we?
No, we'll all talk about the parameters.
Okay. Well,
on what would be successful.
Because if you're Super Bowl or bust, then no, I ain't taking that bet.
No, and I don't even want that. I want to win 7 to 8 football games consistently.
Okay.
So
that's what I freaking want. And not for the bet. I just want that for this football team. For God's sake, you can't win 7 friggin' football games in a season on somewhat of a consistent level. Of course you're a losing.
Well, time out. Mike McCarthy won 7 plus games in 4 years.
Don't give a rat's fat ass. Listen, no, he didn't get fired.
Well, he wasn't brought back. So
no, he didn't get fired.
Brought back.
Yeah, they just ended.
They just didn't renew his contract. So, but here,
apparently he wasn't.
I take Mike McCarthy for God's sake. I want someone that can. And here's the thing. The fact that they didn't even maybe look at that makes me sick to my stomach. And I can't stand Mike McCarthy. I cannot stand Mike McCarthy. I cannot stand him. But I take him.
Well, he's taking a year off. So
yeah, is that what it is?
He's going back to the barn.
Yeah. He's going back to hiding.
I'm just so fed up with mediocrity, especially from my own damn football team.
Sonny, at least somebody wanted your job in Jacksonville. Look at the Saints. Mike McCarthy withdrew his name from the Saints job. That's how bad it is down there.
By the way, if you had to pick Cliff Kingsbury or Kellen Moore, because it's probably one of those two guys. Who would you take?
I take Kingsbury.
Oh boy.
But it would be awful close. No, I'm not taking Kellen Moore. I'm not taking. No, forget that. It's not even close. But
that's like asking me, do you want?
I cannot.
Do you want
Kellen Moore? Like I know who he is. I know who he is on a bad football team, and guess what? The Eagles are not a bad football team, so he got lucky. He's got talent.
When has he had a bad football team?
Huh?
When has he had a bad football team?
Listen, the Cowboys are a bad football team. That's
they were
a
12-5,
that's in disarray. I'm not talking about the talent on the football field. I am talking about the franchise itself. The Dallas Cowboys are number 29. The Jaguars are number 30, and the Panthers are number 31. And
that's not based on a 5-year period. 32. Though. That's not based on a 5-year period, though. That's only based on last year.
I never said anything about a 5-year period.
Well, but I'm saying that's when Kellen Moore was with the Cowboys for roughly 5 years ago.
Yeah, and by the way, how'd that go?
They were 12-5, 12-5, and then 7-9.
No, he wasn't. Kellen Moore hasn't been the offensive coordinator for this football team for 3 years.
Yeah, so at least he had a 12-5 year.
Okay. Well, what did he do in San Diego or for the Chargers? What did he do?
That team was in disarray, though. So I mean,
wait, you just proved my point. And now that being said, of course, that's the name of this show. He is in the green room. Let's go ahead and bring him on in. It is the one, the only. Where's my music on this? I had some cool music on this, and it didn't come in. That having been said, let's go ahead and do it. Tom McManus, good morning, my friend. It's good to see you.
How you guys doing, man? Happy Sunday. Nice jersey, man.
Hey,
a little Metallica, a little AC/DC, something like that. Oh, another beauty. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
I like
I didn't
it.
tell you.
What
This is
I got my own
this
shirt.
moment right here, Sonny's why I never told you about it. And I got
Oh, man,
Wow.
that's beautiful.
He got the NFL logo on it. I didn't even get that. Damn.
Very cool. Well, you see mine behind me, although it looks backwards. I can't figure that out.
No. It looks backward to you. It's straight on for us for some
Oh,
reason.
is that
I know
right?
on your
Okay.
show.
Got the
On your
Jaguar on
show,
there
it's
too, Tom.
on your show.
Okay.
It's flipped. I don't know why, but that being said,
You learn
So-
something new, baby. You learn something
look
new.
at that.
I love it.
like that patch. All right. So that being said, I love
Yeah.
it. I'm glad you're here. Okay.
Yeah, it's good to be here, man.
I want to start with Bryce. Bryce couldn't be here. He can only be here for an hour. So, and he had a question that he wanted to ask you because of the Jaguars. And by the way, I watch your show religiously.
Thank you, Sonny.
and see
Thank
everything that you do. You
Appreciate it.
even said it at the time when Doug Peterson was hired for this football team. And even your Grammage even said it. This was the right guy.
Yeah.
You felt confident in that. So
Super Bowl.
Bryce
Here we
wants
come.
to know. Bryce wants to know why you think that it didn't work out. What happened to where the Doug Peterson experiment didn't go?
Okay, so as I've said on my show quite a bit, and I truly believe this, the best way to build an organization, we'll just talk football, but you can apply it across the board, I think. That GM has got to fill that locker room with not just the talent and that fits the scheme, but that can thrive under the way the coach coaches. So what is Doug Peterson? He's a player's kind, and that doesn't mean a negative thing. He's like, be a professional and do it. I'm going to draw it up. I'm going to show what it looks like, how it should go, and then you have to do it. Well, you got to have a bunch of self-starters in that locker room. You got to have veterans. Like after a while when you're playing, I only played 5 years, but in that short period of time, it was hurt for 2 of them. And I played in like 50 games, so I had plenty of experience to go out there and get it done. And you could yell at me. And my teammates, you might get a little pissed off, but all it did was make you want to go hit your teammate across from you and practice a little harder, or hit somebody during the game hard, whatever the case may be. So you got to fill that locker room. And after a while, like I was getting at, you don't necessarily need the coach to rah you up. You know what I mean? You're a professional, man. If you've been in the league long enough, you know how to prepare, you know how to study, you know how to condition. You can take critique all day long because you know it right when it happens. I mean, you miss a tackle, you know it. You get blocked, you know it. You're in the wrong gap, you know it. You got the wrong coverage, you know it. I mean, it's like instantaneously. So you got to have guys like that. And he didn't have enough of them. He didn't have enough self-starters, guys calling each other out. You've probably heard me say the term brother-in-law. My linebacker coach, I swear, the things that stick with you, he would always say, don't brother-in-law each other. Steve Zabel, don't brother-in-law each other. Don't say it's okay. Don't say get him next time. Be like, come on, man, you gotta know this. You gotta make this play, or whatever the case may be. And I think there was way too much brother-in-law. I made a comment, I think Friday. Jeremiah Ledbetter, who's a fine defensive tackle. Okay, he's fine. I think he's upgradable. I think he's not big enough to really play inside on the nose and over the guards. I think you got to be a little bit bulkier than he brings to the table. But he's a solid player. But week, I don't know, 16, 15, whatever it was, we're playing the Jets. He's double teamed, so just kind of standing there. And late, very late, Rodgers breaks containment. He runs him down and tackles him, and it's technically a sack. Well, he does this and does the backflip. You probably saw it on SportsCenter. And I'm sitting there going, did you plan that? Are you planning that? Like, your team sucks. Your defense sucks. You guys cost the team so many games this year. They had you a lead and you blew it. Almost every loss, except the ones you got blown out on. You know what I mean? Like, where's that? What is that? And you're doing this me. Look at me. Look at me. I can do a backflip. Who gives a fuck if you can do a backflip? You get pushed down the field 10 yards every so often. So when you're an athletic big guy, Who cares? Your team's terrible. So my point is, I think that's why it didn't work out. I don't think the GM did a good enough job of bringing in talent that matches the philosophy of Doug Peterson. You go look at Detroit, right? And even Dan Campbell said, he said, look, the first thing me and Brad Holmes got together on the GM, what kind of player? Not who, not scheme, what kind of guy? I'll tell you what kind of guy I want. That's sacrificing everything else in his life, aside from his family, to be the best player he can be for what? 6 months out of the freaking year, maybe 7, maybe 8 if you go on. Like, you got the best job in the whole damn world. There is no way you shouldn't be a self-starter and prepared every single time. But if your locker room's not filled with those guys that, hey, we'll get them next time approach, it's just never going to fly.
So, that being
Sorry,
said.
so long-winded.
No. Love it. Here's the thing. Okay, so I'm going to start this out as Jaguar fan. A friend of mine, when Jaguars came in with the Panthers. They took the Panthers. I took the Jaguars. And so I've been there and done that. Okay. So, and over the years and years, we've seen a few successful seasons. Obviously early on, they had a great, you were part of those. I wish you would have got it in the year that you were hurt and things. But we're now in a state for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm going to say it the way that my dad said it. It was a thing that we said around our house, and it was coined by Richard Pryor, just to give everybody a heads up. And it was, how long does this bullshit gonna go on? And that's what I want to know. Do you think that the pick for the head coach of this
Duval
is the guy that will stop the bullshit that we have seen from this football team for too many damn years? Now, I know you can't go off the rails like I do, and you're more of a professional, but I am so sick and tired of this crap coming from this football team, and it starts from top, and I think it's kind of stuck on the top in reality.
Okay, and I agree with you. And will he be the guy? We're going to find out. So far, I like what he's saying. I like his background. I like that he played QB. He's still considered one of the best at UMass in the history of their football team. He comes from a football background. I like that his dad's his hero. I know he's bounced around here and there, but you know what? I think going to Kentucky to call plays was the best thing that he did for himself. I'm sure he didn't want to go down to the college ranks after being in the with the LA Rams. But we'll see what he can do. Look, he's going to have to make these guys accountable, and that's all that I'm talking about. Just like your self accountability, that internal. So if you watch the Jags, which a lot like you guys did, the way they lost was pretty much the same time every time, except 3 times they got blown out. But the other games that were one-score games that they're all hanging their hat on, they would give up. They would make so many mistakes on defense, out of position, not knowing who to cover, safeties jumping on under routes. I mean, it was the same shit week after week after week. On offense, they'd have a great drive. They'd get down to the red zone. There'd be an illegal formation. There'd be an illegal motion. There'd be a false start. There would be a delay of game. Just something that would never get corrected. When I say never, it never got corrected all year long. Now, you could blame that on the coaches, and a lot of people do. But where's the players' pride? Like, you're totally fucking up. Like, you're totally making mistakes. And they don't have enough guys who didn't in that locker room to really care enough to be like, instead of like, yeah, man, it's all good. I'll get them next time. I'm still playing. I'm still starting. I hear guys out the night before a game, on one of my shows, the guy was like, yeah, the D-line's out at such and such place the night before games. And I'm like, man, I mean, if you're winning, I don't care. If you're a stud and you're making plays on Sunday, you can do whatever you want. And when your team is terrible and you're a big part of the problem and you're going out acting like a big shot, that ain't the right person in the locker room that's going to help you win ball games, in my opinion.
Fully agree. I got one more question. I'll shoot it over to Cuervo. the hire is who it is. I'm going to say we're stuck with them because I got a $20 bet on anybody whether or not this will work or not. But here's where my problem comes with the hire. The experience of this guy's 5 years NFL experience, and the Jaguars, they are in a total disarray. I mean, they suck. I mean, as a franchise, I got them marked as number 30, worst in the NFL. How do you expect a guy with 5 years NFL experience who don't know the ins and outs of the day-to-day as a head coach or even as an assistant coach that makes sense to turn around a franchise that needs a turnaround? And how do you do that with a guy such as Cohen?
Well, you're hopefully you've done enough investigation that it's an educated guess, but it is a guess. I mean, and look, there's no guarantee Brian Flores comes in here. He may change the culture. He may not change the win-loss record. You know, you just never know how those go down. You know, I prefer a coach that had some experience. But look, the NFL is also a copycat league. Look at Sean McVay. Who else came out of the Rams? Kevin O'Connell, you know, for the Minnesota Vikings. You know, Liam, he's moved up the ranks. Had a really good, you know, year with Baker. I heard what Baker said about him at the Pro Bowl. You know, after they gave him a bunch of shit, he's like, hey, you can't turn that down, and he's going to be really good. Now, look, his main thing is he's got to fix Trevor. And I don't mean fix like Trevor's totally broken, but he's got to hone in Trevor's, you know, his physical capabilities. I think Trevor struggles with the mental side of things from time to time. But I don't know if anybody's really taught him how to go through those progressions. You'd think Doug would, but he never got any better. And I know everybody's like everything else, going to give excuses as to why. But Trev's going into his 5th year. Like, it's time to shit or get off the pot if you're going to be one of these top QBs consistently. So can Liam Cohen hone his game in, build an offense around him, bring in a defensive coordinator who, look, he's new too. He's brand new too. But, I mean, every great coordinator, every great head coach, even any head coach, started somewhere. You know what I mean? Maybe he is the next great thing. I don't know. We're going to find out.
Let me just
the money is
really
the money.
quick.
It's the market. Good for him and his family. He gets $65 million, regardless what happens. It looks like so. That's great. Now, hopefully, he can look. It's all about accountability, and these guys want to win. Every athlete wants to win, but you got to get the guys that are willing to sacrifice most of their life in order to have that successful season.
Let me 1A it, and then I'll ship it over there to Cuervo. That being said, he's a new head coach. His relationships in order to bring in the defensive coordinator, which, by the way, that's a mess in itself. I mean, we can probably talk 30 minutes about the defense, but his relationships with defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators, the guys that are going to help him turn this franchise around, does he necessarily have those relationships, do you think? Based up on, I mean, it's because that's one of the parts I'm worried about. Instead of just getting some guy off the street to fill that position, does he have the relationship that will be able to be productive enough to help generate those W's? And I'm not talking about 12 or 13. Hell, I'd love to see the Jaguars win 8 games a season on a regular basis and then go from there.
Well, I think he has some relationships. Obviously, Tampa's not going to let him bring anybody over in a lateral move. And quite frankly, I wouldn't either. You know, I wouldn't be too happy with the way things went down. But you got to understand, it's something he couldn't pass up. You know, look, I think on bringing in his staff, he'll have enough relationships. And if it's not direct, there'll be one-offs. You know what I mean? That whole group, big fraternity. Big, you know, I'll leave him nameless because I don't think he'd want me to say his name, but he called me the other night. I've known him forever. He's been a defensive line coach in the league for a very long time, looking for a job. And he's like, hey, could you put in a word for me with Liam? I'm like, do you know Liam? He's like, no, I don't, but I hear really good things. I said, okay, cool. So I reached out to Baselli to see if he could help him out. We'll see what happens. But there's guys like that all across the league, man. I'll tell you, these assistant coaches, it's not easy. That coordinator, the head coach gets fired. They got a lot of guaranteed money coming their way. You don't. You have maybe one more season at your salary, and then you got to figure it out. And when these coaches get fired, it's not like they all get picked up and go right back into the NFL. Some do, but a lot don't. Man, it's not. That's tough. Can you imagine? I couldn't imagine going to my wife. Oh, babe, we gotta leave. We're going to Seattle. You know what? We just gotta go. That's the next gig. That's where I gotta go. So I think to answer your question, there'll be enough guys out there looking for work, and there'll be quality coaches that will want to coach in the National Football League.
Cuervo, go ahead. You are online here with the one and only Thomas McManus.
What's up,
Cuervo? And it is an honor. It is an honor. How you doing, Tom? Appreciate you being on with us, man. So my first question, it's kind of a two-part question. So I want to go back to something that you talked about right after you first got on, when you used the Detroit Lions as an example, where you have a situation where the GM and the head coach collaborate and they talk about philosophy as far as personnel and what kind of guys they want to bring into the room.
Yep.
It really baffled me, the timing of what happened when it came to the situation with Trent Baalke and the GM. Because correct me if I'm wrong, he was there to hire Liam Cohen, and then a few days later he gets let go. So I was kind of wondering what your thoughts were on the timing of all that happening the way it did. And then the second part of that question is, what's the latest you're hearing as far as that GM position and who they're looking at? I know me being, a Bears fan, I'm hearing Ian Cunningham possibly taking that job. So, but what are you hearing with your connections in Jacksonville?
Well, I've heard Ian Cunningham is the leader in the box, I guess you'd say. And I don't know that much about him. Look, it's kind of ass backwards the way Shad Khan has done this. We get the coach first, and then we'll find the GM. It was time for Baalke to go. I mean, look, it's a production business. They didn't produce. The last, I think, 23 or 24 games, they won like 4 or 5 games. That's inexcusable. I think I've told you before, or maybe earlier in the year, you take like the signing of Eric Armstead from the San Francisco 49ers. And this is really a strange kind of story because when we heard that he got signed, we're thinking like, oh man, he's going to line up next to Josh Hines-Allen, and man, they're going to or Trayvon Walker, what a duo they're going to have on that side. Well, he comes in and he doesn't participate in training camp, just works out on the side. Then comes the last week, and he's playing end more than tackle. Now, he earned his money as a tackle with San Fran. He's 6'8", man. He's a built-in swim move, over those guards. And he was really good at, being wreaking havoc for the 49ers defensive line. So he comes here, he's starting to play end, and then he gets on, gets interviews like, yeah, they recruited me to play end. So I'm playing end. And everyone and their mother knows he's a way better defensive tackle. Now, when he played the run as an end, he played it pretty good. But his pass rush was way too slow from the end position to get to the QB in time. He never affected the QB from the outside. So he does play on and off as a tackle, but it's probably, 60-40 as an end. So Doug Peterson gets fired. That same day, Eric Armstead gets on camera and says, I've decided to play tackle now. Like, they made me play end. And you're like, wait a minute, you said to the media that they recruited you to play end. Like, what do you mean made you play end? So anyway, now he's going to play tackle, which, let me tell you something. What Liam Cohen and Mark Campanelli do have, they got a front four that could be pretty awesome, to be honest with you. With Josh Hines-Allen, Eric Armstead inside and only inside, Mason Smith, a young kid up and coming, and Trayvon Walker. That's a nice front four that you can work with. As far as other GM candidates, Cuervo, I don't really have the names in front of me. I know Tony Baselli's a part of the search. Look, it's going to be somebody that can fill that room, that's going to match the philosophy of Liam, which is asked backwards. Well, so what? Maybe it works out. Back to the Lions, by the way. not every player in the league likes that rah, I'm going to bite your kneecaps,
Yeah.
kick your ass. Some guys scoff at that. They're like,
Yep.
whatever.
A lot of everybody on this panel, except Podfather, he wasn't there, but everybody that's usually on their panel except me didn't like the idea of who Dan Campbell was. In fact, I think Meathead was thrown around very well.
Yeah. And that's a term of endearment in my world, but that's okay.
Yes.
But my point is, you got to fill that room with guys that are like, hell yeah, they're winning. That helps. But keep in mind, the year 2022, the Jags and the Lions had very similar seasons. They both started out terrible, then went on a run, and both finished 9-8. They didn't make the playoffs. Jaguars did and went to the divisional playoff round. So we're both sides, both teams are sitting there going, oh man, we're on our way up. Well, the 2023 Jags went this way and the Lions went that way and continue to go that way because they have the right culture. They have the right guys collectively, and they got the right coach leading the way. So hopefully that happens here in Jayville.
Podfather, you're up with Tom McManus. What's your question for the double nickel? That's my other nickname I have for him, the double nickel.
Given the fact that we live in a social media climate and everybody's got memes and everybody's got, whatever. And the fact that, in the NFL, you're trying to bring in players to, help your team get better. Do you think this head coaching job that Jacksonville's got now is going to be able to bring in any free agents? People are going to look at him and go, yeah, I go play for him. Or does he have to win the locker room first to have other players come in there and go, well, I want to go play with that team because of what he did with him the previous year?
That's a great question, Godfather. I think that's going to take a little bit of time. But I tell you what, free agents want to come to Jacksonville because the owner throws money at them big time. The facilities are through the roof, fantastic. They're well taken care of. So in that regard, they love Shad Khan. The players do. They travel in luxury. Everything's top of the line. You go in their locker room, it looks like an individual apartment. The lockers are so damn big, they can fit a couch in there, I think. And I'm not kidding. They got like a little lounge chair built in or something. So that's one thing. It's going to be the players, though. I think he's going to have to lean on the Trevor Lawrences of the world, the Mitch Morrises of the world, the Josh Hines Allen, that are going to reach out to their guys that may consider coming to Jacksonville and having them be a part of the pitch. Of course, the players got to believe. That's the one. If you don't win them over in the locker room, you're not going to win them over. You're just not. No matter what your philosophy is, you got to be. You got to get them on board for sure. But I do think that's valid. And look, it may be a challenge with the GM too. I mean, I read or heard where Ian Cunningham's like, look, I'm interested, but my contract's got to be longer than his. I'm not going to be stuck, if he gets fired and I'm out. You know what I mean? I got to be ahead of him in terms of the length of the contract. So you're not firing me. I mean, you may, but you're not because of him or whatever. Because it's not. I didn't pick him, and that's where it might be taking a little bit longer. Now, granted, it may happen this week. Enough money will get a deal done. There's no doubt about it. But that may be part of the conversation. Well, okay, you want me to be GM. You already got your coach, so I don't get a say in that. You already got your QB. I don't have a say in that. And you got your Hall of Famer, Tony Baselli, lingering around. Who am I answering to? What am I doing? So that might be a little bit of the challenge because it's, again, asked backwards. But I think Shad Khan he must have felt like he had to jump on Liam in order to make him the head coach. So he did.
How long is it going to be before they grab up someone? Do you think is this something that's going to happen, right away, or are they going to just, since the time is going, we're getting believe it or not, the draft is really around the corner, and we need someone in position to be able to get what we need. So, first of all, how long do you think that it is going to take? And then second, and where do you think the priority is in the draft? By the way.
Yeah. Well, the priority of the draft for me is defensive line in the middle because we need another beef. I would look if there's a tackle there, I'm taking him. You know, if that kid from LSU is there at 5, I may take him, depending on who else is there, of course. And Liam Cohen said it, man. You know, he's all about building the trenches. You got to have a great old line. I mean, come on. You see it on every team. The quarterbacks that really do well, they've got time. They get hit. They have bad days. Don't get me wrong. But for the majority, they've got time to make their throws. And if you don't, you can never get it off. I mean, C.J. Stroud struggled this year, did better in the playoffs because he was harassed all year long. And then you start thinking, overthinking, and then they screw you up on the back end and you're all freaked out. So, you know, I think that's going to be a priority. So O-line, D-line. Now, if the corner's there and the O-line, D-line's not, kid from Michigan, maybe, sure. We do need another corner. I think we still need a number 1 corner because Tyson Campbell, to me, hasn't shown it enough to be that number 1 corner on a team. He's good, but he needs to be great. And they paid him to be great, and he wasn't great last year. As far as the GM, there is a deadline with the league. I think it's March 28th or something like that. And if you don't do it, then you got to wait till after the draft. Ethan Waugh is the interim GM. Falky brought him over from the blowing the snots is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm sitting here thinking, there is a mute button, damn it.
Real.
Jesus.
It's real, man. It's all good. It's all good. But so anyway, yeah, I think I know Shai Khan said they want a deal done before that deadline. So they'll find somebody. Again, it's a GM job. You know what I mean? I mean, there's only so many in the National Football League that you could say, yeah, I'm the GM of such and such. So there'll be somebody that'll really want it. And as long as, again, maybe Sully, helps with this. It's bringing that right kind of minded GM to fit the same mind of Liam Cohen and how to build a winner. And if you do that, you got a really good chance. My opinion.
Cuervo.
Yeah, so I'm going to switch gears a little bit. You know, I like to bring up my Chicago Bears. So,
the Bears.
tell me a little bit about what you know about Press Taylor. So they hired him to be the passing game coordinator. Yeah. I haven't read enough to know his background. I'm assuming he has an offensive background if they brought him in as a passing game coordinator. But my question to you is, do you know much about him? Is that going to be a good fit for him in Chicago? And as a Bears fan, what do I expect?
You know, so you probably haven't been paying attention. So the fans have been wanting Press Taylor gone for 2 years now.
Okay.
Right or wrong. Doug, brought him from Philly. Word is Doug was asked to change him as the offensive coordinator up there, and he didn't want to, so they had a falling out in Philadelphia. There was a quandary here in Jacksonville, and Doug, he should have never said anything, but he commented how Press Taylor, this was 2022 or after 2022 season, that Press Taylor was actually calling the plays in the second half of games in 2022. Well, nobody had a problem with that because we had a good year and the offense was good. Trevor was good. Wow. We made it to the divisional playoff round. Well, then things went bad. And it was quite interesting because in the it went bad. I mean, the offense stopped. Trevor had in 2023, Trevor had a good year going, and then it went south. Then he got hurt. The ankle really hurt, and part of that was injury. I'll give him that. But he was still making mistakes at the wrong times, throwing picks to the backside safety, holding onto the ball, not knowing, his pre-snap's not very good, that type of thing. But it went bad. It went really bad. And they had no running game that consistently. The bubble screens were way too much. They didn't recognize Brian Thomas Jr. as a true number 1 till like week 8 of last year. They finally targeted him that one game. I forget what it was. Threw to him 4 plays in a row, and then after that, They were throwing to him, 10, 12 targets a game. They weren't doing that early on because they wanted everything funneled into Ingram and Christian Kirk, and then on occasion have the outside. But he showed he's a complete wide receiver. So what are you going to get out of Press Taylor? I don't really know, Cuervo. I know he's only the passing game coordinator, so he'll put together a passing attack. He gets a bad rap down here. I never met Press. I didn't always like his play calling, but, and nobody likes hearing this. They can't stand it when I say it, but I say it all the time. The players' lack of execution cost them games last year. It wasn't play calling. And if those players executed at least, let's just 50% more, they would have never been 4-13. They would have been around 500. So everyone wants to blame Press and Doug. Oh, even the owner after 2023, going into this year in the offseason, said he would like for Doug to call plays, but he's leaving it up to Doug. I think Press was calling the plays all year. So I don't know what the deal is. And now Doug's getting looks at to be an offensive coordinator. Good for him. I'm sure he's a great coordinator, without a doubt. So I don't know. Look, Press has got to have some ability, but and he won't be calling plays. But it's funny because it's so ironic that the guy that all the fans and the media were clamoring for, Ben Johnson, they wanted him so bad, and he ends up hiring Press Taylor with the Bears. I mean, you can't write any comedy better than that. So he sees something in him. Although again, they're fraternity. They're they help each other out. But maybe he feels like he brings something to the table in that passing game. Time will tell. I think Caleb. I looked at their weapons are phenomenal. Their O-line stinks. They got to upgrade that O-line big time.
Terrible.
But if they can do that, man, they've got an offensive team. And defensively, they were doing great for a time last year, but got beat up and never returned to form. So
the Hail Mary killed the season, Tom. The Hail Mary killed the season.
Oh, that idiot Danson killed the season.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That shit. That's the shit I'm talking about. Like, what are you doing, man?
Yes.
Fucking dance in the locker room after you win. I don't know.
All right. Podfather.
Tom, me and Cuervo and Bryce and even Obi when he's here, we're all trying to talk Sonny off the ledge because clearly the head coaching hire that Jacksonville made has really sent him into a tizzy. Now he's blaming everybody else for their hiring picks. Like, I'm a Cowboys fan. He's blaming me for, for that guy. But my question is, how can we sell him to a guy like Sonny? Because, he's a hardcore football fan. It's Super Bowl or bust in a lot of cases for him. Or he wants consistency, which I'm sorry, I'm a Cowboys fan. He wants consistency. So, whatever the hell that is in the NFL, what would sell the Jaguars hire the head coach to a guy like Sonny?
Winning. I mean, winning. And look, he's got to win.
But would that be enough for him, though? Because he's such a narcissist to where it's not enough. He needs more.
No, it's about mediocrity. Let's be honest. Hey, Tom, the NFL is full of guys that want to blow smoke up everybody's ass instead of calling out mediocrity the way it is.
Yeah.
And I said this last week. I'll say it again. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a really good, example of this. It's been mediocre for the last 8 years. Let's get serious. I want to see a team that will go out and win on a somewhat of a level. If you can't win 7 to 8 games in the NFL, you got a problem as a franchise.
Yeah. Listen, it's been awful. And Shad Khan's record as an owner is terrible. I mean, probably one of the worst, if not the worst in the league since he took over in 2012.
Yep.
I don't know if I can sell. I'll tell you what gives me a little comfort on Liam Cohen, okay? One is Sean McVay speaks extremely highly of him. I don't think that's just coach speak. And because he was interviewed I think when he was with Tampa, when Liam was the OC with Tampa, and he just talked about his mind and his leadership and whatnot. I like that he came from McVay, and I like that Kevin O'Connell came. So that there's some connection. It's worth, still a guess, but you're getting more educated, right? I like that he's a former QB. I like that the Tampa Bay Bucks players at least talk highly of him. And look, if we're stat nerds, which I'm not, I know you guys aren't. What he did for Baker Mayfield at the quarterback position last year was phenomenal. Now, we don't have that O-line. We don't have Tristan Wirfs. We've got Brian Thomas Jr. Ingram. I don't know if Kirk will be back. But listen, I can't sit here and sell him too hard because nobody knows. Baselli, Tony says, we got our guy. If you win, you did. If you win, you got your guy. I mean, look, with Doug Peter, like you mentioned earlier, when he was hired, Super Bowl, here we come. Are you kidding me? Yeah, he's got the QB. He's got this. He's bringing this. He knows how to win. What a winner. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to the Super Bowl. After the first year, you're like, fucking hey, this guy's great. And then what happens? Little by little, chink, 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 chink. So your roll goes like ding, 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 ching, and then you're out. And that's how fast the NFL. So what have you done for me lately type thing. So I don't know if Liam Cohen's the right guy. I like what he says. I mean, look, his message is the same message that I live by. Like looking in the mirror, being tough, having grit, being physical. So he's saying all the right things. Now he's just, he don't got to win over me or Sonny. He's got to win over that locker room where they're like, all right, this guy's cool, and I'm going to give him a chance.
Absolutely, and then he'll win over Sonny.
Yeah, well, you win. You got to win, man. If it's the same shit that we've been dealing with, then no, it was the wrong pick. But listen, I got open arms for the guy. He's our guy now. He's family as far as I'm concerned. And I want him to win. I want them to win. I want the city to win. These next look. Here's another thing this coach is going to go through. Next year you got a full year. The year after, only 40,000 capacity because they'll be doing the stadium. The next year you're not even playing in Jacksonville your home games. And the 2028 is when the new stadium will open. Will he still be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars? I don't know.
Yes.
I hope so, because that means he's won, and you can see that they're getting better and better. Go look at the trajectory of Dan Campbell. Terrible their first year. Better their second. Really good their third. Phenomenal their fourth. Right? I mean, they were 3-13, I think, 9-8, 12-5, 14-2, or 3, or whatever it was. 15-2. Come on, that's trajectory. Let's see if Liam Cohen can follow that lead. That would be great.
Who did you want? Who was on your list, Tom? As far as taking over this football team in the league.
Again, I wasn't on the Ben Johnson train because we don't have Detroit's talent. We just don't. They're so well rounded. We don't have the dogs either, like they have. Got some. I don't mean to say that as a blanket statement. There's a good 25 guys on the Jags that they're all the way in. They care. He's got to get the other 25. I wanted a coach that had some head coaching experience, good or bad, because my thought was they would learn from those mistakes that they made. Now, I would have to be assured of that, right? So, Brian Flores, would I have liked him? Sure. The question is, what happened with you and Tua? Because if there is any kind of bullshit, you can't bring that to my quarterback. I'm not having it. So I would have to have that conversation and feel good that he learned from his mistakes, whatever they were, whatever delivery-wise, whatever, it didn't work. So I got to make sure that he could deliver the right culture, right message. I do believe he would have we wouldn't lose the way we lost last year with guys making mistakes over and over and over again. I thought Spags was interesting, but I kind of felt like Shaw didn't want to wait that long. I don't think he wanted to wait. I think he wanted to jump on it. And look, they went with the hotter, young type guy. And now we'll figure out if they're right. Vrabel was gone too quick, but I would have loved Vrabel. I think he's just a badass, and he's going to be great for New England. I think, you never know how that goes. But yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, Robert Saleh. It would look again. These defensive coaches for Patrick Graham from the Raiders. I'd have to know who their OC is because that's big. And again, Liam is an OC quarterback guy. Supposedly he's really good at pre-snap education and motivation. And I think Trevor needs that a lot. So that could be a good fit. I want to see the rest of his staff. If he has a bunch of young dudes, maybe if you have young coaches and a young team, although I wouldn't. I think that's a tall order. I think you got to have some veterans in there that those young guys will respect and follow their lead. Doesn't all have to be rah-rah, but just how they work out in the weight room, how they keep themselves out of trouble, how they get ready for the year, how they study, how they practice. All those things are important, but you got to have the right leaders in there to lead the way.
How about Todd Monken, from the offensive coordinator for the Ravens? He was one outside the defensive coaches I was looking at. But Monken, with what he's been able to do, obviously what's going on up there, that would definitely help Trevor Lawrence in reality, I thought.
Well, we don't have Lamar Jackson, and nobody does except them, or maybe Kansas City, obviously with the way Mahomes moves around. I like Joe Brady. I know he didn't have the experience, but what he did with Josh Allen, he honed his ass in. And I thought, to be honest with you, I still think to a degree, they're not one-on-one. But I think Trevor has some of Josh Allen's traits. Like he's got a big arm. He's a big guy. He can take off. He doesn't run like Josh. He's not built like Josh. But he can get out and run and hurt you. And I tell you, when Trevor's playing that kind of street ball, that's when he's at his best. So hopefully Liam can hone that in. But I thought Brady would a good fix. Monkey you just never know. Trevor's not Lamar. He doesn't play like Lamar. We don't have, Derrick Henry, not even close. We don't have their old line. Although our old line's not as bad as everybody says, but I do believe the tackles could be upgraded, in my opinion. I think Walker Little should be upgraded at left tackle. And I would look at someone. Anton went down this year a little bit. I don't know. He's got a cooking show on YouTube. I guess they don't pay enough for the NFL. You got to have a side hustle.
I guess not. Cuervo, go ahead.
But he's got to get better too.
Yeah, so these guys can vouch for me when I say that, and it's not just because you're on, but I want to be excited about the Bears getting Ben Johnson. So, it's kind of like it goes back to what you said. Bears don't have a Penei Sewell on the offensive line. They don't have an Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver. They don't have, they had David Montgomery, but they don't have a Jahmyr Gibbs that can provide that change of pace in the backfield. So I won't really be over the moon about it until I see what they do in the trenches. What do they do in free agency? What do they do in the draft? I got to see, as a fan, I got to see the trenches be upgraded on both sides, not just offensive line, because I know that's like the big talk in Chicago, obviously for Caleb, but they need to get pressure on quarterbacks too. So, I like that they got Ben. I'm happy about it, but I'm not going to sit here and say, all right, 12-5 next year, we're going to be the number 3 seed. I've done that too many times, in the past, and
we look forward to
I'm not going to be about it. So,
well, look, you look at that division. I mean, they're all good, or they have been good. Look, again, I feel the same. That just means you're more of a level-headed fan. There's some fans out there, God love them. You fan how you want to fan. They think Liam Cohen's the next
Right.
Vince Lombardi already. Like, oh, he's going to be awesome. He's unbelievable. He's done all this stuff. And look what he's doing. And he's going to be incredible. And I'm like, maybe. I hope so. I really hope so. But I'm not going to sit here and say that he's the perfect fit for this team. And I don't think the Bears can say that either. I mean, I don't know. Let me ask you this. Who do you have more faith in? Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, or Pete Carroll? I'd go Pete Carroll. I just think Pete, has been around. He knows how to build. He knows how to relate. I mean, come on. The guy took his shirt off in front of DJ Metcalf and the fucking, when he's interviewing him at the combine. Did you see that? That was hilarious. He's always running around throwing the ball, and he knows how to win.
The Pete Carroll's the only one that got Geno Smith to actually win football games. So how about that? I mean, you take that experience and you bring him in, and hopefully he does something for you as you go. Podfather, what's up for Tom McManus?
I guess the big question, because it's next week, what's your thoughts about next week's game?
Oh, man, it should be a great game. And I was doing a little research for the pod next week. On paper, Philly should win this game. They've been very good on third down. Obviously, with Saquon, I think Jalen Hurts is going to have to run a little bit in this game. Maybe not called runs, but take off and run. But here's the problem. The Kansas City Chiefs' biggest stars show up in the biggest games, and they've got some of the best in the business, and they will. Chris Jones will play out of his mind. Mahomes will play out of his mind. Kelsey. And then there'll be like, be Worthy that, comes alive when, the running back, his name, Pacheco, something like that. And they'll just be on fire. And you talk about being built up front. They're pretty built up front, although their tackles can be had, especially Juwan Taylor. I'm attacking his side all night long. So I think it's going to be tight. I applaud any franchise of any sport that can win multiple championships. And if you can go 3 in a row, that's just history, man.
Never been done.
I don't really care who wins. My father-in-law is a big Philadelphia fan. I'll be happy for him if they win, but I don't really care. But I think Kansas City's going to find a way. I think it's going to be really close, come down to the wire, and I think Kansas City finds a way to be a 3 in a row time Super Bowl champion.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, I'm gonna leave you with this. So just 2 questions, and then we'll let you get on back to your family. We never even talked about this. We've been doing this now, in case you didn't know, we've been doing this between you and us for 15 years. Okay, 16 years in February on the show. We never talked about 99. 99 for you and what that was all about, and how and what you did in order to come back to get back out on the football field. So if you wouldn't mind, and then let me know a little bit about a guy that probably nobody knows. I know nobody knows here. Grammage, the guy that works with you when you do your stuff over there at the radio station. So talk a little bit about what 99 was all about for you, and a little bit about Grammage, and we'll let you out the door.
Yeah, I'll start with Grammage. Grammage is my producer, and he's 26-year-old Florida grad. I really like him because he's really level-headed. He doesn't let his emotions get the best of him. He thinks things out before he talks, and for a young guy, I find that very appealing. He's not a Mr. Know-it-all, I know everything kind of crap, and nor am I, so we fit well there. And I like when he chimes in, and I like the dynamic. I actually had to fight for him recently because they wanted to switch. I'm like, man, I just really like our dynamic together. I think he does a really good job, and he's always prepared to, and he does a good job with everything else as a producer. So 1999, although a great year for our team and organization, wasn't a great year for me because I got hurt early. I severed a tendon underneath my right ankle. It's called the peroneus longus tendon. It's the longest tendon in your body. and it's your flexor tendon. It finally attaches. It hits your fifth metatarsal and then comes underneath to your big toe. You push off
Oh, damn.
and flex, and it ripped right underneath my ankle. They had to open the side of my foot and work on the side, repair that. I never played again after that. That was the second game. I was starting at the time. It was the last play of the second game against Carolina, and I was covering number 3. He did a quick 5-yard stick route. I was on them. They went the other way, but right when I planted, I heard the pop, and I couldn't put any pressure. So I was out of I was gone for a while because I had to get surgery up in Chicago. I went to this foot specialist that I knew from high school. I had surgery in high school on the same foot, different injury. So I was gone for a long time. And then when I came back, it was like middle of the year. And because it was my right foot, I couldn't drive. I couldn't do anything. They moved my locker to the middle of the locker room. And I was like, oh, shit, this isn't good. So I knew that was kind of the beginning to the end. Look, it was a great year for our team other than losing to the Titans. My favorite year, and I'm obviously it's a little selfish of me just because I played the whole year, but 1996, when we went to the AFC Championship game, we could have, I'm not going to say should have because that's not fair, but we could have beat the Pats in 1996. We lost 20-6. They were a good team. And they handled our offense pretty good, but we handled theirs pretty good too. It was a good back and forth till the end. But that year was the year. It was a year after my dad died. It was I started starting in the 4th game of the season. Ironically, up in New England, right before halftime, the starter at linebacker, Brian Schwartz, had gotten hurt. I was starting out like short yardage, special teams, short yardage, goal line, punt, kickoff, that kind of stuff. But then got thrown in there, and it was a real emotional year, thinking about my dad all the time. And, we keep winning, and then we get to the AFC Championship game, and just one game away from the biggest spectacle ever that we used to love watching, together. So that was a great year. Look, my 5 years was great. So I got hurt in 97. I tore my ACL in camp after that great 96 year. And then 99, I only played 2 games. So really, I played 3 years, but ended up playing in 48, I think, games, starting about half. So good times. Good time, man.
Wonderful.
I
Thanks for
love
filling me in.
Jacksonville.
I always wanted to know how you felt about it. I always wanted to know how you felt about that. Now, before I let you talk a little bit about your sponsors, I mean, if folks that don't know, you want to talk about, getting it from the bottom and just bringing the success. And he does it with his local sketch. I call them lokes, just like I do. Talk a little bit about your sponsors and what they mean to you and what that is for you as well.
Yeah, so Team Tommy Mac right now is at 11 businesses. They all have exclusivity. Most are local, but some are regional and some are national. Morgan & Morgan, the personal injury law firm, is one of my newer ones. But I got a little bit of everything. So, and I love saying it. You may not need them right now, but when you do, they're going to deliver for you because they're on Team Tommy Mac and they do it all the time. Like Carpet Man Flooring, you may not go out and need new tile or luxury vinyl blanket or anything, but when you do, they got the best selection at the lowest prices. Azar Sausage, these guys are 3rd generation making sausage. It's phenomenal. Some of the best sausage you'll ever have. So in a dish or in your favorite dish or in a bun, Azar Sausage is the one. So anyway, I got all these guys that I love talking about. And, they're on my website, TommyMac.net. You hit their logo, you go right to them. I got a Cadillac dealer. I got a bail bondsman. You get thrown in jail, he gets you out quick. I got a finance guy that helps you out, a commercial real estate firm. Code ninjas for kids to learn about technology and coding and all this stuff, just all types of
What's
stuff.
the one that uses the veterans?
Fantastic.
What's the one that use the veterans?
J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling, veteran owned and operated. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
and they're up and down the East Coast. So if you're listening to this show, check them out at jdog.com. and they love veterans. If you're in need of work employment, they love hiring veterans. So make sure you check them out.
Love it, Tom. Thank you for the hour. I really appreciate it. We always get a lot of good knowledge from you. And yeah, I go off the wall, but I'm allowed to. I'm a fan. We appreciate it. Wonderful relationship for 15 years. Who would have thought that we would be where we are today 15 years ago? So I want to thank you for the time that you give us whenever you come on.
Hey, I got to add family tradition specialty foods. Check this out. Coconut Joe's hot sauces. Absolutely fantastic. They got 4 great flavors. Go to familytraditionsspecialtyfoods.com. Put in pound Team Tommy Mac in the discount code bar and get a BOGO free, baby. Coconut Joe's is on my table. Should be on yours as well. Absolutely great.
Tommy Cuervo, if you got a second, has one more question, if you don't mind.
Listen, I'm solo until about 7:30. My wife and 2 daughters are in Orlando at a dance competition. So I've done the interior chores. Now I'm going to go cut the grass after we're done. It's a beautiful day here in Jacksonville.
Great.
Okay, so that's what sounds like. I got time. Yeah, no, just real quick. So obviously the game is next Sunday, but Saturday is going to be the NFL honors where they announce all the award winners and stuff like that. But I want to talk specifically about the Hall of Fame finalists and a guy that and you played with, I think, for 1 or 2 years, Freddie Taylor.
Yep.
How are you feeling about his chances about getting in this year?
He's the only running back, I think, in the top 15. So he's got a real good chance.
I believe you're right.
And he deserves it, man. That guy, and I talked to Freddie still, man. He's the best. He's such a good dude, hard-working guy. The Pivot's doing great. That's a great podcast with his guys. And he's so humble. He's just such a down-to-earth individual. But, man, what a player. And look, I tell you, the thing that bothers me about the Hall of Fame, and I'm biased because it's my guys, but, look, I think you should take Pro Bowl, how many Pro Bowls you've been to, out of the equation when it comes to whether you're a Hall of Famer or not. I don't think fans should have the vote. I just don't think they should have the vote because they're just going to vote for popularity. The ones that really should have the vote are the guys that you played against that are in the Hall. You know what I mean? Like whoever it is. I know what my case for Freddie T would be. There's only 2 guys in the history of the National Football League with at least 2,500 carries that had an average of 4.6 or higher. It's Fred Taylor and Barry Sanders. What do I need? What do I need for him to get in? Look, the injury hurt Fred without question. He ripped the tendon off his groin bone. So I don't know if you ever been kicked in the nuts, but go have someone kicking the nuts 20 times and maybe have an idea what that feels like. I don't even know. Yeah. But it changed him for a year. He was hopping around, but then he got back to it. Look, if Fred Taylor never got hurt, he might have the rushing title. He might be that close to the rushing title. He was that good. 230 pounds and fucking built like a brick shit house. Could run a legit 4.3. I saw him run a 4.45 on grass that was not cut, wasn't short grass, and he barely finished through the line. He pulled up with like 2 yards to go, and it was a 4.45, and he was 230 pounds, and we were like, holy shit, he was a rookie. We couldn't wait to get him on the field and watch him do what he did, man. He was absolutely incredible, and anybody that went against him would say the same thing. They'd say it about Jimmy Smith. Jimmy's only one of a few guys that have 9 1,000-yard seasons. Go ask some of the DBs that he played against. Go ask them. Is he a Hall of Famer? They'll tell you. They'll tell you they were scared to death of Jimmy. They were so scared that he was going to beat him deep every single snap. You know what I mean? So, and again, what hurts Jacksonville guys is no Super Bowl appearances, no big plays in the Super Bowls. For some reason, that matters. I don't know. I think between the writers, because they should have a say, they cover them, and the players and coaches, That's who the final Hall of Fame vote should come from.
Fully
and I think
agree.
Freddie's got a great chance. And, man, I hope he gets in because he absolutely deserves it.
Definitely.
Mhm.
You lured right into it because that's what I thought. Podfather, one more, and then we'll let this man go.
Well, I was going to ask you because you mentioned your injury. You had 99 with the toe, and I just recently found out that I have a cracked ankle from 4 months of walking on it. What was your rehab like for that? Because obviously you had a tendon issue. That's a bigger thing than a fractured ankle. What was your rehab like?
So the injury, although it affected the big toe, it was underneath the ankle. So I severed that 90%. So that the tendon starts at the outside of your knee. It goes down the outside of your leg and wraps around your ankle, attaches to the fifth metatarsal, then goes underneath to your big toe or just beneath it so you can flex it. So the rehab is pretty brutal. I couldn't do anything. I was in a cast for 12 weeks, non-weight bearing. So I was on crutches for 12 weeks. My triceps got absolutely jacked and my shoulders because I was always on those damn things. It was awful in the beginning because I couldn't put it down. Every time I put my leg down, all the blood would rush to my toes and they'd get all big and fat and I have to put them back up over my heart. And it was just a pain in the ass. But with that being said, after the cast, I started rehab. I thought I could have come back. I don't know. I took in 2000, I did 3 free agent trips and worked out, had fine workouts, but never got signed. And then nobody called after that. It was just weird. It's like, I don't know if I was damaged goods or whatever the case may be. The XFL drafted me. I went out there for one day in LA and I was like, fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'm going home. And I went home and that was it. I had the itch a couple years later. I was still in good shape, but it was over. You got to go through it. It really sucks, especially when, look, I'm a very grateful guy. So I'm grateful for my 5 years, but man, I would have loved to play another 5 at least, and I was starting to in and out. I think when I got hurt in 97, it was after my big year in 96. That hurt. It's too bad because I was having a great camp. I was in great shape. I had so much confidence. I knew I could start in the league. I knew I could play. And then ACL tear in a practice against Tampa Bay. But that's the nature of the beast, man. And then you got to rehab to try to get back. But yeah, I got a nice scar on the side of my foot. It's still about that long and it's shrunk. But,
I'm curious about what all you saw at the XFL tryouts.
What's that?
I'm more curious to see what you saw at the XFL tryouts.
Well, it was with the LA team. They drafted me. I went out there. We have a team meeting, and everyone's got to get up and introduce themselves. And I was like the only guy to be like, 5 years, Jacksonville Jaguars. And I sat down. Everyone looked at me like, what the fuck are you doing here? You know what I mean? It was kind of weird. Tommy Maddox gets up, and the quarterback, he's like naming off 5 different leagues and 13 different teams and back and forth arena and over here and over there. It was just wild. Practice was fine.
I actually played against him in high school.
What's that?
I actually played against Tommy Maddox in high school.
Did you? Yeah, he was cool. I only stayed there for that. I went through one practice. I had a meeting with the coach, and he was coming off like the World League Championship or something, and I don't know. He was just kind of a prick to me. It was kind of weird. But anyway, I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm going home. So I was done with that. They ended up winning the title, which is funny. My agents talked me into it. They thought it would be a way to get back in, but I didn't really feel like it was a way to get back in. So,
what did you do after that? Where'd you head after that? What was your next career move after not going back in?
I was in commercial real estate. I was an industrial broker, and I did okay. I had a couple good years, but I didn't like landlords yelling at me, needing these weekly reports and shit. So I was like, I'm not doing this. not doing this. And then I started radio in 2003 with Dave Weidel, my former teammate. We were called The Real Deal Show. I had a radio show or part of one for about 9-10 years.
That's where I met you.
The air, but that was a humbling experience. I did jump on the internet
Unfiltered,
way
right?
before most, and then got back into mainstream media, and then I've been doing it for a while now. You know, I got a consulting business. I connect people. I was doing some investment banking stuff for like hotels, but my true love and passion is to talk. So got back into the media.
Your motivational.
I mean, you're running for years, Sonny, but it's good and bad, right? Anybody can have a show. You really can. You click on your phone, go live. You can do anything you want. You can talk about anything you want, and if it's any good, people will watch. And if they watch enough, you can build a Team Tommy Mac of your own. You know what I mean? And make a living off it. So I think that's a great thing about technology for sure.
Your motivational video, I still have it. It's on Venmo, by the way, if you ever want to catch it. It's called The Film Don't Lie. I watch it at least monthly. To get myself pumped up, especially with me starting a new business and everything else. Keep confident. Figure out what would you do if you're just sitting around doing nothing, or are you actually plugging to try to, get a business? All that comes in line. I just love it. I appreciate that. We caught you unfiltered when you were with the Jags, and were you taking? Why did they tell you why they took you off, or what was that about?
Oh, I was on Fox. New management came in, and they wanted a national show in the morning. So
gotcha. Cool.
I left.
Yep.
They took me off the air. They didn't want me to come back, which was fine. I had enough at the time, but I'm glad I'm back in it, man, because I'm on with Mike Dempsey, Fat Tony, Dylan Denmark. We do Jaguars Today. I do it every Friday with them. A couple podcasts, TV show, The Horse's Mouth. Where I'm the bartender. My guests sit at the bar.
You're driving those cool cars too.
DailyNewsNetwork.com. It's called The Horse's Mouth with Tom McManus. So that's fun. I had a new show I'm trying to bring back. It was called Riding Shotgun, where my celebrity guests would sit in the shotgun seat of a Cadillac and drive around town while I interview them. Had the lead singer of Saliva on. He was so cool. A bass player, Puddle of Mud. He was cool. A couple baseball dudes, Brett Myers and Daniel Murphy. And Kevin Hardy, my boy from the Jags.
He was in Dubai, by the way.
One of my actor friends who played Laser in Dodgeball. He lives here, and we're good buddies. So he does
Hardy
all my
was in
filming.
Dubai. I was watching him.
Good time.
Hardy is one of my friends, and he was in Dubai. He was doing all kinds of stuff over there. It was really cool. I was watching the pictures and stuff. So it's really
Kevin's
cool.
a great guy. Great person.
I'm gonna get him on the show one day, whenever he's not busy and stuff. But Tom, the jersey. Look how big that's how much weight I've lost. So, and Podfather, I don't think we're like on any kind of like regiment or anything, but I've lost.
Listen, I got my own shirt. So I'm just.
He's got his own shirt too. How much weight have you lost, Podfather?
I'm down 60 right now.
All right.
Yeah, I'm down 70 and like 3 shirt sizes. So
how you
at least
doing?
I got some room.
How you doing?
I don't know. I have no clue. And I think it's probably because I am moving around more than I used to. Probably that's where most of it comes from. So.
Good.
I'm doing my throw Ozempic because I have diabetes. So
I'm
trying to help. It comes in waves. Like I lost like 20 pounds right off the bat to then I staggered for a while and then just kind of hovered around a certain weight. Now I'm hovering around between 299 and 305. I'm kind of escalating right now. I started at 359, so I'm happy to be where I'm at. My goal is 220 because that was my ideal wrestling weight when I used to be a wrestler.
Oh, we lost Tom. Okay, so we lost. I think he hit a button. Always good to see Tom. Let me hit that. Yeah, I didn't hit it. That wasn't me. I would have kept him on for an hour, but I'm actually got there he is. He's back.
I don't know.
Yeah, I saw you playing with your buttons there. I'm
always screwing shit up.
Yeah. So, all right, Tommy. I want to
All
thank
right, guys,
you
I gotta go mow the grass.
thank you for the. Oh yeah, and let me
Have
know
fun
if you're ever flying solo and you just want something to do, and then we'll get up, we'll talk football, we'll go crazy. I'm off the rails. You're more, gentle, right there. Got a good mind
it's all
on you.
good.
So,
I get off the rails when I watch the Jaguar film on Monday mornings. Trust me.
yeah. Dude, no, I know. I saw one that I was like, damn, he has lost it. This was like a month ago, and you had enough. You were almost at Sonny's area, you had enough of it.
It's intolerable to not know what you're doing. That's your job to know what you're doing. Like, that's your job. What do you do for a living? I'm a professional football player. Wow, what a kick-ass job. Yeah, it is. It's the best in the world. Well, you better respect it because it'll be gone before you know it, man.
Mhm.
That's how wrestling was for me.
I can't take the mistakes. Like, I can take the team's better than you. I get that, right? They just are. But I can't take when they're beating you because you're fucking out of position or you forgot who to cover or you blow a coverage or you got a penalty or you drop a touchdown pass right in your hands.
Or you're dancing during the Hail Mary.
Or you're dancing and then you kick up the Hail Mary, jerk off.
Yeah. Act like you've been there.
That guy is.
Come on, for crying out loud. So
sorry, Cuervo.
All right,
fellas. Have a great
By the way, speaking of accountability, Tom, his punishment was sitting out for one series the next game.
Yeah. What is that? What is that?
And I witnessed it because I was in that game.
It's almost acceptance. And that's
exactly. That's my point. It's not punishment.
No, hey, listen. Eric Armstead lined up offsides 2 plays in a row, had a quarter break timeout, and was still on the field.
Like crazy.
2 in a row, lined up offsides, 5-yard penalties each time, and he just went, nobody yanked him off the field.
Yep.
Like,
you gotta rip them. Sometimes that's the only way you're gonna do it in this game. You gotta get on their ass.
Damn right, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
All right.
Tommy, be good. Always good to see you. Good luck to you.
Likewise.
We'll talk to you in the future. Thank you, my friend.
Yep.
Wow.
My pleasure.
You definitely. So, I hour and 10 minutes with the one and only Tom McManus. 15-year relationship. Yours 16, close 60, or no, 4. I actually had Tom on before I had Cuervo. So you guys are riding up on the same time. And does he bring it every single time?
I'm only 2 years.
Not only, so, but that was awesome. It was good to see. I love the jersey, Cuervo. Hey, buddy, there's the patch. I'd say, and this guy's he's got what, 3 of them? He's got 3 of them. I haven't seen
but
them.
They're not Jacksonville
Sports show shirt. Yeah, so.
But they're not Jacksonville jerseys. I mean,
you
give me a Jacksonville jersey, we talk.
No, we got to put you on the bottom. You're not wearing the.
So,
you're not wearing
so
the colors.
Sonny, I actually wanted a white jersey because I knew you had that blue one, and when I ordered it, they sent it to me and it came in the teal color. So I'm like, I tried to get a swap out or my money back. I think they gave me a refund, but they let me keep the jersey too. So I was like,
wow, that's nice. That's a nice $100 in your pocket.
Is it me or do you guys have is it me or you all got two different colors of teal?
Okay, yes, we do, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. It's because of that NFL thing there. Okay, mine's a knockoff because I wanted McManus on it and things of that sort.
Because you're cheap.
And they put this on there, and yes, I'm cheap. This cost me $70. So, but it is what it is, but it was more, I wanted to get the Jaguar to thank him for coming on the show and of course I got his name on the back of that. You got the name on the back of yours too, which is awesome too. So, and plus, I was talking to a friend of mine. He said, how come you don't have as many guests? I said, dude, I used to have guests all the time. It's so hard to get them. And then half the time it's bullshit interviews and I hate them. At least he's going to come with you. He's going to tell you like it is. He won't go rogue like I will, but he'll tell you when he's pissed off. Well, just watch his shows on a Monday. Oh my God, you thought I was bad. He'll go off every once in a while on a Monday. And so, which is really good. So,
all right.
What a great hour. Hour and 10 minutes. He gave us an hour and 10 minutes. I love it.
Get to play makeup from last week.
Yeah. Hey, makes me kind of, hey, I got a friend in Tom McManus. I love it. When I go down there, I'm going to go catch the shows.
It's extremely rare when you have Super Bowl weekend, two teams that are not any of our teams, obviously. And we're talking Jacksonville Jaguars. So
of course, well, next week is going to be big. It is Super Bowl. We'll go as long as it's seen that like this. Going over hell, I'll stay. If you wanted to do another hour, I would have figured out something to talk about. So we'll just go until it's done. Is 9 a good kickoff time for you next week on Super Bowl Sunday, Cuervo? Or what's your plans?
At the moment, I don't have any plans in the morning.
Well, that can change. You got a wife. Yeah, that can change in 2 seconds.
So,
you gotta do
story. And I'm sure you guys have heard people talking about it on social media. The whole boycotting the Super Bowl this year. My wife is one of those. She is not going to watch. She refuses to watch. She will not watch. So either I got to talk her out of that, or I got to find somewhere to go watch it, or
let's go to Albies.
I'm going to be right here. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to go to any parties.
So I'll get on with you guys and talk about the game, but am I going to watch it? I don't know yet. I don't know.
You're questioning whether or not you're going to watch the Super Bowl?
I'll be at work so it's on TV.
Listen,
around,
Sonny, we know the result. We know what's going to happen.
I gotta watch it. I gotta see how it happens. I guess maybe that's it. I gotta see how they screw over the Eagles in reality in order for them to win it. I gotta witness it. So I can justify me being angry about it.
Listen, the Eagles got something that no other fan, that no other team has. They got Philly fans. They will find these referees and kill them. They don't care.
Man, I got news for you. Those fans are nuts.
Well,
some dude lost a job because of the visiting team. Oh, it's right. I mean that's like going down for your team. You lose your job, for heckling the other team. And he said some pretty nasty things. So
I got to go because I got stuff to do. Because I got to go take me a nap because I'm not ready to pass out.
Like go take a nap.
Well, go get the hell out of here. We're all done anyway, so get the hell out of here, and we'll talk to you next time. And guys, just to let you know, when we move into the off season, we'll have variable hours. Could be 9 to noon, could be 12 to 3, could be something. It could be a different day because my coffee business is beginning to pick up. And so depending on what's going on as far as that's concerned, we might run into a problem. We might do it on a different day. So this is what the off season's about, because the first things first, family, second is work. Then we can do this and figure it out. Or if you just feel like doing it, you might not even feel like doing it. It's too noisy. It's sunny. I need quiet. That's my wife. That's why I got to be in this room doing it. So, but anyway. So, anything else before we get on out of here, Cuervo? I mean, we covered a lot of stuff for Jaguars today, and you missed Bryce. So make sure you go back and watch Bryce because you'll see I was down to earth speaking with Bryce today.
Well, good for you, Sonny. I have a feeling you're being sarcastic, so I'm gonna have to go watch. But
no, I was. I was actually a good boy. So he didn't have to strap in. There was a moment where I was coming close, and then I backed off of it. So it just seeing him do this, I was like, I'm about ready to go off the rails. So,
oh boy, yeah, I did see that he was on. Because I always check my phone before I jump on if I don't get on right away. And I tried to get in as fast as I could, but morning stuff. We got
gotta get that coffee. It takes a long time to brew.
Well, yeah, coffee and our 500 pets that we have that we gotta take out of the cage or take them outside so they can use the restroom.
Take them outside. And that's what I do that for a half hour before we go on air, so I understand that one. So
duties,
But again,
I don't know what you guys talked about before, but I'll go check it out.
You betcha. Check it on out. And again, watch our hours. We're going to be switching hours. So, I'll put it out as early as I know. If I get gigs and things like that, that'll change up and what's going on. And if we're not on air, I'll get you the credentials. If you want to go and do a show, you're obviously more than welcome to do that so we can get you all set. So that's going to do it for us here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Great last hour and 15 minutes with Tom McManus. Had Bryce on at the early, and then me and the Podfather talked a little wrestling a little bit since yesterday was the Royal Rumble. So we talked a little wrestling before we do it. So that's going to do it for us. I hope everybody has a great day. We will see you next week. And oh, yes, and it's in
Duval.
God, that is so embarrassing.
Duval.
What the hell is even that?
What
It's a good way to end the
is
show.
even that? I love it. Just the way to end the show. We're out of here, everybody. Take care. Duval.